Me. Smash that like button, y'all. Double tap that screen. Double tap that screen. Y'all know what this is, man. Open Eyes Media, where we uncover the stuff that they cover up. Just so you know, this here is a Truth Tellers live stream, and you're not going to get the sugarcoating over here. This ain't left. This definitely ain't right. It's straight down the center. So I ain't got no dogs in the fight. Now, let's get down to business. I'm waiting on for some of my moderators to get in here, so pardon me. Let me go ahead and send out the bat signal to my mods. Hopefully everybody is having a great day. I know I am. Great day. It's a great day to be a great day. Double tap that screen, y'all. Smash that like button. Let's get this out to the people. What's going on with y'all out there in YouTube land? I'm just sharing this over to Twitter. I'm definitely getting this out to my mods. All right, let's do it.
Like literacy rates of like in major cities, Houston.
Yeah, the Houston literacy rate isn't doing too well right now.
Really? Is that Trump's fault?
Whose fault do you think it is?
I don't know. Who runs the Houston Department of Education?
Well, I'm asking you.
Democrats?
You think the Democrats run the Department of Education of Houston?
Is Houston a Democrat-controlled city?
I didn't know that there was such thing as a Houston Department of Education.
You think that Houston doesn't control their own education?
Oh, I think, Howie, you're a little bit late on the news, Howie.
Yeah?
Yeah, because Greg Abbott is the one that runs the Houston Independent School District, as evidenced by his HISD takeover bill, which allowed him to take over the school district.
In Philadelphia,
Philadelphia
controls theirs.
Oh, so I'm not talking about Philadelphia though. I'm talking about Houston. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Howard. Yeah. So you want to tell me about literacy rates under Republican control, Slapnut? Huh?
Okay. I was just asking what the literacy rate of graduates.
I'm asking you.
Well, you're from Houston, so
I'm asking you. No, you were asking me questions, or are you asking me questions about things that you don't understand, Howard?
In Philadelphia, it's like 25%.
We're not talking about Philadelphia, Howard.
Oh, you don't care? You don't care about Philadelphia?
We're talking about Houston, Howard.
Okay, so give me the numbers.
So I'm asking you. Why are you talking about things that you don't understand?
Numbers.
Don't get irate now, little fella.
I assume they're shit. I assume they're shit.
Don't get irate now, little fella. Calm down.
I'm not irate.
You need to calm down. Have some self-control.
Okay, I'll have self-control. Just tell me.
I just want to know.
Students in Houston are doing.
I just want to know what the literacy rates are, little fella. Why are you asking me about me? I'm asking about you.
Public school?
Can you please tell me about the literacy rates? Huh?
They're shit, man. Your kids can't read, bro.
Oh. I guess maybe the Republicans aren't so very good at doing education, aren't they?
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, this is what happens when you bring up things you don't understand, you slapnut. These low IQ Republicans just don't really understand how things work.
Did you go to public school?
It's amazing how
Did you graduate from public school?
Have a good one, Howard.
Put more money into education. How's that work?
People need to learn how to mind their own motherfucking business more. I don't give a fuck if you're legal or illegal. Don't rape, don't kill, don't teach your children how to be pieces of shit, and we're all good. I don't care if you're gay or straight. What you do in the bedroom behind closed doors or in the bushes is not my motherfucking business. What urinal you use is also not my fucking business, okay? Do you. Say hello to me in the process. Keep it fucking moving. People need to learn how to mind their own motherfucking.
Also, so bitches know if it ever got
taken into step 4.
There's no difference. Like, logically speaking, if that's your only argument, there's no difference. Now, if you had like another argument to say that the fetus is valuable because it's like a human life, okay. Well, now we
I do agree with that.
I mean, just standing on the argument that it's the natural outcome of an action that you chose to engage in. Like, there is no difference between saying that a woman is just as well within her rights to get an abortion after becoming pregnant as a cigarette smoker is well within their rights to get chemotherapy after developing lung cancer as a result of smoking.
Taken into step 4.
There's no difference. Like, logically speaking, if that's your only argument, there's no.
So this is the true Iran, right? Here we go. Here's the gentleman. He's lost his home. This lady is the neighbor, by the way. She speaks English, and she's lost her home. But here's the real Iran here, right? Bringing out an ice cream treat to the foreigner who comes from the land that pays the taxes that bombs them. And I'm getting ice cream from the very people that are supposed to hate me. Doesn't quite square with what you're told, America.
No, this is not the problem with the people. American people and Iranian people are the same, all at the market. This is the problem of policies, bad policies, that is directed by politicians. People of America always praise people of Trump. There is no difference between people. People everywhere are the same.
Everyone tells me this, America.
I pride myself in bringing you the truth the news won't touch. Please wake up, America.
Why are white people more scared of black people than pedophiles? Like, y'all are scared of the people minding their business, but you not scared of the people touching kids? You not worried about them? Why are white people more...
You think that Donald Trump has failed in everything?
Yes, I think Donald Trump has failed on every single major thing that was his job. I think he's failed on every single thing. Yes.
So there's nothing you like about Trump. Nothing. You can't name one thing that you don't that you.
Why must I name one thing? We are currently in. Stop talking. We are currently in a war. We are currently in a war of which we are losing. He has stifled the earth of 25% of our oil. He has not succeeded.
Do y'all think we're losing the war? I mean, not think. Do y'all know that we're losing the war?
Or gotten anything out of Iran. He has no concessions. He got no concessions out of other countries when he waged a tariff war. We lost the tariff war to China. We went through a recession under his first presidency because he mishandled the pandemic. What am I supposed to like about him?
I'm just surprised that you can't name not one thing that you support him.
What do you think I should support him on?
There's a lot.
Name one thing.
There's a lot.
Name one.
Name fucking one.
Hello?
That's pathetic.
Don't look it up now.
That man on the computer.
Hello?
Somebody in the chat, name one policy. Hold on, we're going to back this shit up.
What am I supposed to like about him?
I'm just surprised that you can't name not one thing that you support him.
What do you think I should support?
This is the crazy thing. Trump supporters can't even name one thing that you should support him on. Not one thing.
What am I supposed to like about him?
I'm just surprised that you can't name not one thing that you support him.
What do you think I should support him on?
Norbert, what up?
There's a lot.
Name one thing.
There's a lot.
Name one.
Can't name one thing. Nobody in this chat.
Hello? Don't look it up now. Hello? Hello?
You think that Donald Trump has failed in everything?
Trillions?
Yes, trillions in ancient trusts belong to black people. It is a whitewashed narrative to disinherit the true heirs of the empire.
Your Highness, are you saying the original nobles were black people?
The real nobility, the original European royalty, were Moors. They've hidden this history to maintain control over trillions of dollars. These Moors were present on both sides of the Atlantic, ruling from old America to the courts of Europe.
Both sides.
The Moors
of
were
the
all
Atlantic.
over the fucking world, ruling from Tartary to the Americas, not just from North Africa. Then we came along as Mamelukes and Castratas and fucked it all up by burying the truth of the Asiatic.
If you look at the coats of arms within these very walls, you see the truth they've tried to repaint. The original European royalty were Moors.
The Moors were doing so much fucking in Europe, trying to help us to get rid of our animal gene. They were trying to civilize the wild white men by grafting their divine blood into the recessive DNA.
Trillions?
Yes, trillions in ancient trust belong to black people. It is a whitewashed narrative to disinherit the true heirs of the empire.
Your Highness, are you saying the original nobles were black people?
The real nobility, the original European royalty, were Moors. They've hidden this history to maintain control over trillions of dollars. These Moors were present on both sides of the Atlantic, ruling from old America to the courts of Europe.
The Moors were all over the fucking world, ruling from Tartary to the Americas, not just from North Africa. Then we came along as Mamelukes and Castratas and fucked it all up by burying the truth of the Asiatic.
If you look at the coats of arms within these very walls, you see the truth they've tried to repaint. The original European royalty were Moors.
The Moors were doing so much fucking in Europe, trying to help us to get rid of our animal gene. They were trying to civilize the wild white men by grafting their divine blood into the recessive DNA.
Trillions?
Yes, trillions in ancient trust belong to black people.
What y'all know about that?
It is a whitewashed narrative to disinherit the true heirs of the empire.
Because Trump is low IQ, brother.
Trump's a low IQ. Where did you graduate from?
What? Google me.
No. If you didn't graduate college and you're calling people idiots,
Google me. Do you think Elon Musk has a high IQ?
Yes, but he's also he's part autistic as well.
Did Elon Musk graduate from college?
I don't know.
No, he didn't. So I guess that disproves your argument.
Oh, so college is a waste of time and
No, that was your argument. You said that IQ depends on where you graduated from college, but you just admitted that someone that did not graduate from college has a high IQ.
Okay, so that's one.
What about Mark Zuckerberg?
I'm just asking you.
High
Did
IQ
you
or low
graduate from
IQ?
college?
Mark Zuckerberg, high IQ or low IQ? Bill Gates is low IQ too.
Nerds? No.
Huh? What about Charlie Kirk? High IQ or low IQ?
High IQ.
Well, he didn't graduate either.
Well, I'm just saying.
Well, that didn't work out well for you.
I gotta go to my lake house.
Yeah, I'm sure you do. Because Trump is low IQ, brother.
Trump's a low IQ. Where did you graduate from?
What? Google me.
No.
Top down right here is where she wanna be.
Stories about my cousin David Brulette, part 3. A few years ago, we went and saw a movie in theaters, and then he started complaining halfway through the movie that there was too many black people and that they were just shoving woke ideology down our throats during the movie. The movie was Till. He was well aware of the movie we were going to see.
How many amendments are there in the Constitution?
I don't know exact off the top
You don't know
of my
how many
head.
articles?
Okay, can I?
How about this?
Okay,
how many
again,
continents are there?
You know a lot
how
of
many
information,
continents
and I'll
are there?
give you that.
How many continents are there?
Okay,
ma'am, how many continents are there?
There's hundreds, but I can't
There's
remember.
7.
Oh,
MAGA.
What the? There's hundreds of continents?
How many amendments are there in the Constitution?
Are you Hispanic?
No.
You just straight up white? You're a white man?
I'm a white guy.
You're a white man telling minorities what to think and feel? Because of...
I'm telling them what I think and feel about them, which is that if they support Trump, they're a fucking race traitor.
So does that make you a racist?
No.
That makes you a complete racist, sir.
Okay.
Are you Hispanic?
No.
When they control the Strait of Hormuz.
They don't anymore.
They don't?
We've been striking for 12 straight nights now. They never had like control like that. They just lob up missiles.
Control of the Strait of Hormuz is enforced with mines. Do you know what a mine
Yeah,
is?
but those mines are gone, weren't they?
The mines are gone?
Damn shame,
Says who?
Norbert.
If our only problem right now is mines, then I think that's fine.
Ship traffic is still pennies compared to what it used to be.
It'll be under control soon.
According to what?
According to, they can't withstand what we're going to do.
According to what?
According to my thoughts. Like I don't have like
your feelings.
Data for it.
Your feelings. Facts don't care about your feelings. When they control the Strait of Hormuz.
They don't anymore.
By the way, thank you to everybody that likes my Afro-Latino content and decided to
follow and become part of the family, or if you just commented on one of my videos, because for a while there it was pretty rough and I thought it was just going to be rough the whole time. Like I thought it was just going to be a bunch of racist people in my comments, but I can see the comments becoming a lot more and more positive, and that really makes me happy because this is actually my first channel, and this is kind of what I wanted my content to be more like. But
now, as I see my two beautiful sons sitting there, I think I'm going to give one to myself, one to them, and we'll have a threesome, okay?
Yo, I don't know if Buddy ain't got no social like awareness, or he just freaked out. I don't.
Now, as I see my...
The speed advantage goes away.
Your God doesn't belong in my government. Your right to swing your fist stops at my face. Your right to practice your faith stops at my government. In God we trust needs to be removed from all currency in the Pledge of Allegiance. There is a heavy dose of indoctrination and propaganda that's being perpetuated through the United States right now in regards to Christian nationalism.
Minorities, we ain't shocked. Well, at least those of us who are black ain't shocked. We sitting there like this is normal. Like, these people have been horrible their entire lives. It didn't just happen overnight. They're just shitty human beings. They've always been shitty human beings. Talking about some, I'm shocked. No, the fuck you not. You're not shocked. None of y'all are ever shocked by this.
Hold on. Is one mod in here, you blind goofball? Fuck are you talking about?
Stuff. Y'all knew that this was going to be like this because your relatives are like this. The people that you see every single day are like this. Ain't nothing shocking about it. What I'm sitting there trying to understand is why you let them old, decrepit motherfuckers in Tennessee laugh in your face. Old, pale, decrepit motherfuckers. If y'all don't jump, man. The only reason that some of you are shocked about what's going on,
they're only asking the American people to pay more at the gas.
Okay, wait, really quickly, a few things. Trump doesn't take his salary, but he's made $4 billion on cryptocurrency. Also, I'm honestly kind of impressed at Donald Trump's handling of the economy so far. I'm impressed with what he's done with it. He's taken an economy that was steady-handed when Joe Biden was leaving.
Steady-handed? That's why Joe Biden lost.
Wait, what was the inflation rate when Joe Biden left?
I don't know. I just know that
it was 2.9%. We now have predictions that it's going to go up to 5%. We think that unemployment is going to keep skyrocketing due to this. Gas prices are skyrocketing. That means people have less money to spend on other things. I have a good idea too. Why don't we cut taxes for the richest so that we have less revenue coming in, and then we cut Medicaid for the poorest so that we can justify that, and then we go to war in the Middle East so we increase our debt even further, even though we haven't learned from the fact that we added $8 trillion to our debt from the last Middle Eastern wars, and then we'll continue to pay $1 trillion per year on interest, so it compounds for our generation. That was obviously sarcasm.
They're only asking the American people to pay more at the gas.
Okay, wait, really quickly, a few things. Trump doesn't take his salary, but he's made $4 billion on cryptocurrency. Also, I'm honestly kind of impressed at Donald Trump's handling of the economy so far. I'm impressed with what he's done with it. He's taken an economy that was steady-handed when Joe Biden was leaving.
Steady-handed? That's why Joe Biden lost.
Wait, what was the inflation rate when Joe Biden left?
I don't know. I just know that
it was 2.9%. We now have predictions that it's going to go up to 5%. We think that unemployment is going to keep skyrocketing due to this. Gas prices are skyrocketing. That means people have less money to spend on other things.
All facts. None of y'all can sit up here and say anything different. These are all facts. Stop me when he tell a lie.
I have a good idea too. Why don't we cut taxes for the richest so that we have less revenue coming in, and then we cut Medicaid for the poorest so that we can justify that, and then we go to war in the Middle East so we increase our debt even further, even though we haven't learned from the fact that we added $8 trillion to our debt from the last Middle Eastern wars, and then we'll continue to pay $1 trillion per year on interest, so it compounds for our generation. That was obviously sarcasm.
They're only asking the American people to pay more at the gas.
Okay, wait, really quickly, a few things. Trump doesn't take his salary, but he's made...
So here's the real reason why all these racist-ass white men want to take us back to before 1865, because that's where they really want to go with this. So here's the thing. Back in 1865, rich white men could just essay black women all they wanted to. And that's what this is all about. White men have never been able to handle rejection. ever. And
you don't say. Well, I guess this guy can tell me. I guess he got the right to say what the fuck he want to say.
they want to go back to a time where they didn't have to deal with it, where they could just, if they got turned down, they could go back out into the field, grab someone from one of the houses, and have their way with them without consequences. That's what they truly want. So here's the real reason why.
Damn.
All these racist ass
MAGA, is that true? Say it ain't so, MAGA.
white men want to take us back to before
No, but you think that's what it is?
That's where they really want to go with this. So here's the thing. Back in 1865, rich white men could just essay black women all they wanted to. And that's what this is all about. White men have never been able to handle rejection. Ever. And they want to go back to a time where they didn't have to deal with it. Where they could just, if they got turned down, they could go back out into the field, grab someone from one of the houses, and have their way with them without consequences. That's what they truly want. So here's the real reason why all these racist ass white men.
Anybody see this?
No, it's called negotiation. It's called
This is
business.
what happened.
Biden was scared of Xi Jinping. That's
Chad,
why
how do
he
you
wouldn't
spell
meet
business?
him. BUSSINES.
Oh my gosh, bro. Oh my god.
Wait.
Oh my gosh, bro. This motherfucker can't even spell business, bro. Oh my god.
I know how to spell it.
This is what I mean when I say these Republicans
White uneducated.
are too low IQ to debate.
No, it's called negotiation. It's called
This is
business.
what happened.
Biden was scared of Xi Jinping. That's
Chad,
why.
All right, this ain't a video. Yeah,
420,000 children will be cut off of free school lunch and breakfast on average every single month through the context of the Big Beautiful Bill and this provision.
It is not the government's responsibility to pay for children's lunches when their parents can be paying for them. You sound like a socialist.
I sound like a socialist for saying we
Yeah,
want
you think
to.
the
I want to
government-
feed
Cindy Prim, what's up?
children.
You think the government should be feeding all the children?
Yeah,
That's
the
ridiculous.
government should be feeding kids. Yeah. Wow. So radical. Look at this radical extreme socialist because he advocated to ensure that children are fed. Wow. Look at this extreme socialist right here. Actually, this guy is a little bit too left. Everybody, look at him. Actually, let me ask this question: do you think that prisoners should be fed in prison?
Yes.
So we should feed prisoners, but not kids.
If you remove someone's ability,
feed the felons, but don't feed the children. Actually, okay, everybody, you heard it here first, folks. Feed all of the horrible people in this country, actually, but do not feed those kids. Oh my God, we're pro-life in the womb. Once they're out of the womb, you're until you're a criminal. Actually, okay. 420,000 children will be cut off of free school lunch and breakfast on average every single month through the context of the Big
Your education was so lacking that you thought you'd be able to come up here with your Fox News talking point, having not read the indictment, and be like, oh, I'm going to prove this guy wrong. Now, I would never call into a show and ask about something I didn't read.
My education
That's MAGA for you.
is lacking, but you don't understand the basics of calories in and calories out. That's why you're fat.
I know I'm fat. I like being fat, and I will continue to be fat because I enjoy food and I don't like working out. So, David, I'm going to ask you the same question I asked you before you went on to this nonsense pivot because you have, like, quite literally the lowest IQ of anyone I've talked to today. David, what are your reasons, and ground them in something, for believing the indictment of the SPLC?
Because there's enough evidence to bring the case to trial.
Do I need to define the term believe to you?
Who would you never want to stream with ever again?
Oh, damn.
Damn. That's a good.
Ryan Coogler never shied away from addressing diabetes.
Has very thin hair, regardless of levels of testosterone. Wait, also, wait. Also, doesn't higher levels of testosterone actually mean you have thinner hair? Like, yeah, like a propensity towards hair thinning and hair loss actually means high testosterone, right? Wait, as very thin hair, regardless of levels of testosterone. Wait, also, wait.
Just took my family to the Cracker Barrel, also known as the colonizer crate, the vanilla vault, the Caucasian container, or the honky bucket. Just took my family to the...
He's still bitter about him sitting at the White House.
Who, me?
Come on, dude.
You think I'm bitter? I'm bitter about what?
You're bitter about the guy's, success.
And how'd that work out for you? How's your gas
What do you
prices
mean?
right about now? How's that looking?
I'm not worried about the gas price.
Of course you're not, right? How's your inflation?
Why would I
how's
be
that,
worried about it?
How's that working out for you?
Why would I be worried about it?
That's what I thought, right? So you don't care about inflation, you don't care about gas prices, you don't care about anything. You know why? Because all it is about Trump guzzling. You don't really have any real position.
I'm blessed, all right? So I have money. I can buy anything I want. I can pay for anything I want, right?
Great.
And if you don't have the money, don't just go out there and bitch about it. That's not how the life works.
It's so funny, right? Because these Republicans made their whole campaign about bitching about the economy. And now that you're in there and you realize that your dear leader has done none of the things he promised, let's make sure that we remember them. He said he was going to bring our income taxes to zero.
Lies.
That never happened. He said that we wouldn't be paying, we'd be getting 50% off on our energy bills. Instead, they're up by 13%. So that never happened. He said that we'd be getting less on our healthcare premiums. Instead, they're up by 26%.
Lies.
All of the things that he claimed to be promised. He said that he'd be giving us $5,000 Doge and tariff checks. None of those things have come into fruition. So it's just amazing. He said we'd be paying less than $2 a gallon for gasoline, and now it's almost $5. It's $5, $5 gas. So all the things that Trump, all the things that Trump has promised in America has not come to fruition. And you seriously want to get on here after he's not delivered anything and say that I am wrong to call him out for that? You must.
Damn, Cindy Prince said Trump is mad because he can't bleep his daughter. God damn. Smash that like button, double tap that.
Be crazy.
He's still bitter about him sitting at the White House.
Who, me?
Come on, dude.
You think I'm bitter? I'm bitter about what?
That's why on day one I went after her ass, because I knew that she was the fucking public enemy number one. You motherfucking clown. You knew it wasn't a drowning on day one. You fucking knew it. And you also are all culpable and 3 other dead fucking black kids that fucking families don't have answers because of your raggedy fucking ass, bitch. You do not deserve to have a job.
I feel bad for Robert Pattinson, bro, because this dude is getting memed into the underworld for just doing his job. Can you imagine, dude, you get to work on one of the biggest films of the 21st century, and you're like, I wonder what people are going to think about my performance. And they just turn you into the next racist Burger King meme. Like, and you know he's seen it, even if he doesn't have social media, because he's a guy, which means he has guy friends who are absolute scumbags and are sending him the meme every single day. They're calling him up at 2 a.m. Somebody get these beggars out of it. And then just like hanging up the phone. Because that's what my friends do to me. Someone comments anything negative on a video, they'll screenshot it, send it to me and be like, I agree with Sour Grape 657. You're ugly as shit, bro. I'm also...
Hey, when people judge, just let them, right? Because it ain't their place to do that. It ain't. And
we got a lot of woke white people, don't we?
they decide to put their 2 cents in. Let them know what that's worth, and keep grinding towards your worth. Because man, people don't see where some of us come from. They don't see the depths we got to pull ourselves out of. Granted, a lot of those depths are self-induced, and a lot of times they're not. Circumstantial things are what they are, right? Not everybody's dealt the same hand, but when you are dealt one of them, and you pick yourself up out the trenches, You've been trampled, stomped on, stampeded, feet in your back, face in the mud. Get up, wipe that shit off.
White nationalists are the goofiest group of motherfuckers to ever crawl the earth. They completely contradict every single stereotype that they try to paint of the minority communities. On top of that, they are overtly violent towards anyone who is not racist. And they are also listed as a fucking domestic terrorist group. What the fuck? Like, they don't even care if you're not a minority. They don't care. They will try to kill you. And on top of that, our president supports them. What the fuck is that shit about? And he's worried about getting the people that came here 30, 40 years ago, worked their ass off and built a family? Man, hell, I'll tell you this, I dare a motherfucker to come over here and try that bullshit because I'm not racist. I'm gonna fuck your ass up. And then on top of that, they want the world to be completely white. I like seasoning on my food, man. Fuck that shit. White nationalists.
I don't sit and memorize policies. You do. But guess what? It only takes common sense to know Democrats aren't worth it and are ruining this country.
Can you name one policy Democrats have passed that have ruined
Carpe diem, what it do, man?
Country?
I didn't say one particular policy ruined the country. You're putting
No,
words in
just
my mouth.
give me one example of a policy they've passed that you think has helped to ruin the country.
I didn't say that. You said that. I didn't say it's one
That's no lie, Carp. What it do, man? Welcome to the live.
particular policy. It's many policies.
Give me any example of any policy that has helped ruin the country that Democrats have passed.
Look at immigration. Trying to open up the borders.
There was never an open border under Democrats.
Yeah, you sit there and be how Democrats can be so great for this country, yet you don't do a damn thing for your country.
I'm doing something right now, sir. I think this is doing something. I'm advocating for my country right now. Advocating for Democrats to be in office because they will better the conditions in the country.
Really?
Yeah.
Tell me on a local level what they have done.
Social
Democrat
Security,
runs-
Medicare, Medicaid, food stamps, unemployment insurance, paid family leave, paid maternity leave, safety regulations, antitrust laws.
Food stamps? Are you serious?
Yeah, yes. What good have conservatives done historically? Oh, wait. Let me hear.
No, we're still talking about it because I disagree with you.
He's got nothing. You are like the least informed Trump supporter I've like ever had on my stream, dude.
I don't sit and memorize policies. You do. But guess what? It only takes common sense to know Democrats aren't worth it and are ruining this country.
Can you name one
Carp, I was at the range today, man.
Policy Democrats have passed that have ruined the country?
I didn't say one particular policy ruined the country. You're putting
No,
words
just
in my mouth.
give me one example of a policy they've passed that you think has helped to ruin the country.
I didn't say that. You said that. I didn't say it's one particular policy. It's many policies.
Give me any example of any policy that has helped ruin the country that Democrats have passed.
You cannot show me an example of Trump ever apologizing for anything. So I just think it's rich when any conservative tries to go and say that someone should apologize for anything.
Why is
the
it
point
rich?
is that the Republican Party ran on a
is it
platform.
okay?
Peter speaking. The Republican Party ran on a platform
me, so that's okay.
of having free speech. That's what you guys campaigned on. You went to all the college campuses all around talking about you stood for for free speech. Now you have the president of the United States being so much of a snowflake that he cannot handle a joke he doesn't like from Jimmy Kimmel. That's ridiculous.
And Jimmy Kimmel can't be man enough to apologize.
Your president is not man enough because he's
that
never
Donald
apologized
Trump
for
is in the
anything.
gut.
You cannot show me an example of Trump ever apologizing for anything. So I just think it's rich when any conservative tries to go and say that someone
didn't even know who she was until she ran for president.
Question. Can you name one thing any vice president has ever done in American history?
I don't know if anybody can without doing the research on it.
Right, exactly. That's why I find that argument disingenuous. It's because you try to posit that somehow the fascist rapist was better than Kamala Harris for the presidency because you can't name something she did when she was VP when you can't name anything that any vice president did in American history.
Well, it's
I'm willing
not
to hedge
that
bet.
I
One moment.
can't
One
name
moment.
something she
One
did.
moment. I'm willing to hedge bet that at least one vice president has done one thing ever. All right, and because I'm willing to hedge that bet, and
My dog, I appreciate you. I do got a square link I can put up though.
you don't know what that is. This just means that it's not that our vice presidents haven't done things. It's that you're not educated in what they have done. So why are you trying to use your own ignorance as an argument against her?
She didn't even know who she was.
I feel you, Carp.
until she ran for president.
Question. Can you name one thing any vice president has ever done in American history?
I don't know if anybody can without doing the research on it.
Right, exactly. That's why I find that argument disingenuous. It's because you try to posit that somehow the fascist rapist was better than Kamala Harris for the presidency because you can't name something she did when she was VP when you can't name anything that any vice president did in American history.
Well, it's
I'm willing
not
to hedge
that
bet.
I
One moment. I'm willing to hedge bet that at least one vice president has done one thing ever. All right, and because I'm willing to hedge that bet, and you don't know what that is, this just means that it's not that our vice presidents haven't done things; it's that you're not educated in what they have done. So why are you trying to use your own ignorance as an argument against her?
She didn't even know who she was until she ran for president.
Question. Can you name one thing any vice president has ever done in American history?
I don't know if anybody can without doing the research on it.
Right, exactly. That's why I find that argument disingenuous. It's because you try to posit that somehow the fascist rapist was better than Kamala Harris for the presidency because you can't name something she did when she was VP when you can't name anything that any vice president did in American history.
Well, it's
I'm willing
not
to hedge
that
bet.
I
One moment. I'm willing to hedge bet that at least one vice president has done one thing ever. All right, and because I'm willing to hedge that bet, and you don't know what that is, this just means that it's not that our vice presidents haven't done things; it's that you're not educated in what they have done. So why are you trying to use your own ignorance as an argument against her?
She didn't even know who she was until she ran for president.
We don't have fur that is protecting our skin from the sun. We don't have to say this is.
Mitch McConnell just released a second proof of life photo. He's smiling in it, and for good reason. He's missed work for 44 days but gotten paid for it every single day of it. With a salary of over $174,000, that means he's gotten paid over $20,000 for doing literally nothing. As the 7th wealthiest member of the Senate, worth an estimated $30 million, I doubt he needs the money, but he gets it anyway. So I can see why he's smiling.
Here's a canon event for white people that's coming in the near future that I'm not excited for. Watching friends, family, and people that we know stick up for these white kids who left Nolan Wells behind and most likely murdered him. People that they're not related to, that they don't know, they're going to find a weird way to stick up for them, and then they're going to claim that they're not racist and that it's just because of the facts or something. And just because I'm going to speak out about it and want actual justice, I'm going to be told that I hate white people, that I'm self-hating. You wouldn't be wrong. White people get on my very, very, very last nerve. Here's a canon event for white people.
What is it that the Donald Trump administration, when he had his FBI in power, found about January 6th? Was there election interference?
Yes, there was.
Okay, give me evidence.
How about 2,000 mules? 2,000 mules. I saw it with my own eyes.
No, you fucking didn't.
Yes, I did. What do you mean? I saw freaking
whole where's the investigation by Donald Trump?
It's coming. Don't worry.
It's coming.
Listen,
when is it getting
The mass arrests are coming.
When is
the
it getting
deep state will crumble.
I ask you a question.
President Trump
I ask you a question.
is in control.
I ask you a question.
Patriots in
I ask you a
control.
question.
Don't worry, America.
I ask you a question. When is it coming?
It's coming.
Oh, really?
Don't worry. There's many of these people. And first of all,
I didn't ask for people. I'm asking for evidence.
Officer Fanone has currently been referred to on 7 criminal charges by the DOJ.
That's a lot less than what you've done, you fucking terrorist. What is it that the Donald Trump administration, when he had his FBI in power, found about January 6th?
Hey, carpe diem. The white uneducated, man.
Was there election interference?
Yes, there was.
Okay,
of course.
give me evidence.
How about 2,000 mules? 2,000 mules. I saw it with my.
Who does this pale demon think he talking to?
In your heads in shame! You sorry fucking bitches! Fuck you! Old Navy's what took you down, nigger! That's who I am! You sorry ass pile of weak shit! Fuck you and
So the line for MAGA yet again as Trump openly declares his intention to shit on the Constitution, to not leave office, to run for another term is, oh, he's joking, he's owning the libs, he's trolling his haters, and look at you, TDS, you fell for it again. He's not fucking joking. They don't even believe that he's joking. That's just some shit they say to outsiders to appear sane. Amongst themselves, they'd be perfectly happy with a dictator, but they have to pretend in polite company that they're not so they can hide behind the pretense of American values. It's not a fucking joke. This is like when a creepy guy comes on to you and says some pervy shit, and if you don't react the way he wants you to, he says, oh, it's a joke, lighten up. But if you had reacted the way he wanted you to, it was never a fucking joke. And of course Trump uses this tactic. He's a pervy, creepy old man who hunts little girls. He's familiar with it. If you just interpret everything that Trump does as though it was produced by the mind of a sexual predator, because it was, then his motives become very easy to discern. He's not mysterious or intelligent, which is why all of you creeps identify with him. So the line for MAGA yet again as Trump openly declares his intention to shit on the Constitution, to not leave office, to run for another term is, oh, he's joking, he's owning the libs, he's trolling his haters, and look at you, TDS, you fell for it again. He's not fucking joking. They don't even believe that he's joking. That's just some shit they say to outsiders to appear sane. Amongst themselves, they'd be perfectly happy with a dictator, but they have to pretend in polite company that they're not so they can hide behind the pretense of American values. It's not a fucking joke. This is like when a creepy guy comes on to you and says some pervy shit, and if you don't react the way he wants you to, he says, oh, it's a joke, lighten up. But if you had reacted the way he wanted you to, it was never a fucking joke. And of course Trump uses this tactic. He's a pervy, creepy old man who hunts little girls. He's familiar with it. If you just interpret everything that Trump does as though it was produced by the mind of a sexual predator, because it was, then his motives become very easy to discern. He's not mysterious or intelligent, which is why all of you creeps identify with him. So the line for MAGA yet again as Trump openly declares his intention to shit on the Constitution, to not leave office, to run for another term is, oh...
MAGA, I hate to break it to you, but I think he's lying to you. I think you've been lied to. I know he's not one to lie, but you thought you was going to get rich. You thought the brown people were going to go away. You didn't think gay people would be a problem anymore, but I think he's...
Y'all thought he was going to make y'all broke asses rich? Got your ass again, you big ass dummies. Where your Trump phone at, motherfucker? He's still trying to sell y'all a whole bunch of cheap ass shit that don't work.
lying, don't you? You guys think he's lying? MAGA, I hate to break it to you.
MAGA, I hate to break it to you. You gotta be fucking stupid to still be believing a motherfucker who lied about everything. This motherfucker lied about his tax return. He lied about how much money his father gave his dumbass.
But I think he's lying to you. I think you've been lied to. I know he's not one to lie, but you thought you was going to get rich. You thought the brown people were going to go away. You didn't think gay people would be a problem anymore, but I think he's lying. Don't you? You guys think he's lying? MAGA, I hate...
All right, man, look, y'all know who it is, man. It's a dynamic.
Oh, America! You're not representing what you're supposed to represent. You know, all these fucking people scream about America. I'm American. Oh, I'm American. Well, then stand the fuck up for your brothers and sisters. America's not supposed to be where you come to be persecuted because you speak a different language, your skin's a different color, you wear different clothes, or you believe in a different God than I do.
I can't be the only one that feels this way. I can't be the only one that's upset and hurt by this. I cannot be the only one that feels this way. If I'm not the only one that feels this way, share this motherfucker. Send it around. You ain't gotta speak up if you're scared to speak up. Share this motherfucker. Let me know you ain't the fucking same as them.
Check this out. I made my own FBI bourbon with my name on it. What? Yes, somehow this is a real thing that I, the FBI director, had made. This is real. I bring my own alcohol to bars because sometimes they think I'm a kid with the fake ID. They say, oh, no adult would make this face in official photos. Check this out. I made my own FBI bourbon with my name on it. What? Yes, somehow this is a real thing that I, the FBI director, had made. This is real. I bring my own alcohol to bars because sometimes they think I'm a kid with the fake ID. They say, oh, no adult would make this face in official photos. Check this out. I made my...
So why do you guys think that it rained on the 4th of July yesterday?
Oh, no, wait.
Why
Do
do
you,
you
like
think it
other
rained?
Trump supporters, think that it was the liberals? Do you think liberals were manipulating the weather?
Well, I don't know what they're capable of, to be honest. What? So why do you guys think that it...
I just thought about something. We got policemen, we got ICE and this and that for immigrants and drug dealers. Where the fuck is the pedophile police? Why don't we have a pedophile? We should have PPs. I just thought about something. We got...
And I used to have this mental illness where I thought logical arguments would change people's mind. Like I thought laying out all the facts, the proof, the evidence calmly would make them think like you're right, I need to reevaluate everything that I just said. No, like they'll just still argue with you like they're getting paid for it. And what I'm starting to realize is you can't argue with somebody using facts when they belief's not based on facts. And I used to have this mental illness where I thought logical arguments would change people's.
Hey, just in case you were wondering, I'm still not sorry. I'm not sorry I offended you. I'm not sorry I triggered you. I'm not sorry I hurt your feelings. I am sorry your mom raised a bitch, though. Hey, just in case you were wondering, I'm...
Do you see what I see?
Man, get in here, get...
Teenage girl accidentally started one of the biggest riots in Dutch history, all because she forgot to make a Facebook event private. Back in 2012, a girl in the small town of Heron in...
The tariffs are working. The tariffs are working.
If you're 50 years old and have a 401k, you've lost about $74,000 in the past 3 months. Does that feel like it's working?
No, I've lost more than that. The tariffs are working. The tariffs are working.
Jesus, just shut up. I'm not even getting fancy with this one. Just shut the fuck up. Nobody cares about your stupid fucking claims, gripes, biases, prejudices, or culture war bitching and moaning. Islam isn't taking over. There's no great replacement. Your kids aren't going to school and coming back trans, and the overall LGBTQIA community isn't indoctrinating them. The United States is not a Christian nation in your goddamn religion. Is not the siren song on the concept of basic human decency, and it damn sure shouldn't be dictating how other people live their lives. Your fat fuck fake Fuhrer doesn't give a fuck about you, your family, your job, or your God, and he's not getting any fucking job done. You're just an asshole who's more than willing to demonstrate how gullible you are as long as it makes you feel more comfortable with being that asshole, and for that very stupid fucking reason, you sold out your own country to a billionaire nepo bitch who is destroying what he can, when he can. Stop bitching, sit with your fuck up, and let the adults in the room fucking handle things, for Christ's sake. Jesus, just shut up. I'm not even getting fancy with this one. Just shut the fuck up. Nobody cares about your stupid fucking claims, gripes, biases, prejudices, or culture war bitching and moaning. Islam isn't taking over. There's no great replacement. Your kids aren't going to school and coming back trans, and the overall LGBTQIA community isn't indoctrinating them. The United States is not a Christian nation in your goddamn religion. Is not the siren song on the concept of basic human decency, and it damn sure shouldn't be dictating how other people live their lives.
I don't know if ever...
Hey, Trump supporters. I know that I don't support Trump, and my content is really anti-Trump, and I have a lot of things to say negatively about that man. And I know that we're at odds in my comment section a lot. But I have a question that I want to ask from the bottom of my heart, like from a genuine place. Like, this is very genuine to me, and it's from the bottom of my heart and soul. I just wanted to ask, what the fuck is wrong with you? Hey, Trump supporters. I know that I don't support Trump, and my content is really anti-Trump, and I have a lot of things to say negatively about that man. And I know that we're at odds in my comment section a lot. But I have a question that I want to ask from the bottom of my heart, like from a genuine place. Like, this is very genuine to me, and it's from the bottom of my heart and soul. I just wanted to ask, what the fuck is wrong with you? Hey, Trump supporters, I know that I don't...
There is nothing Trump could do that would get you to stop supporting this guy. Watch this. If Donald Trump went up to your 10-year-old daughter and he said he'd be dating her in 10 years, would you still vote for him?
Yeah, I probably would, yeah.
Do you see what I mean? You see what I mean? There is nothing Trump could do that would get you to stop supporting this guy. Watch this. If Donald Trump went up to your 10-year-old daughter and he said he'd be dating her in 10 years, would you still vote for him?
Yeah, I probably would, yeah.
Do you see what I mean? You see what I mean? There is nothing Trump could do that would get you to stop supporting this guy.
What's going on, y'all? I'm Chairman Paul. It's Comrade Nia, Comrade Taj, Comrade Jay, Comrade Takia. We're at...
No, seriously, I genuinely don't understand this. How can cops or any law enforcement, judges, do their job right now? When you got people at the highest level in this country doing the most heinous acts, there's victims, witnesses, evidence, audio, video, text evidence. Hell, there's classified documents. So how can you go arrest any citizen of this country without arresting and prosecuting those guys first? No, seriously, I genuinely don't understand this. How can cops or any law enforcement, judges, do their job right now? When you got people at the highest level in this country doing the most heinous acts, there's victims, witnesses.
Listen, unpopular opinion, you might not like it, but I don't give a shit, it's mine. Hey, I don't give a damn what you do with your food stamps. I genuinely don't care. Oh, but it comes from your tax money. Okay, they're not trying to buy a damn Ferrari, they're trying to buy a Mountain Dew instead of Mountain Lightning. Let them live a little bit, shit. There's billionaires out here making money off us, and if y'all don't think so, then y'all ain't paying attention. Writing off jets and yachts and shit. Y'all bitching about some damn soda, it's crazy. Listen, unpopular opinion, you might not like it, but I don't give a shit, it's mine. Hey, I don't give a damn what you do with your food stamps. I genuinely don't care. Oh, but it comes from your tax money. Okay, they're not trying to buy a damn Ferrari, they're trying to buy a Mountain Dew instead of Mountain Lightning. Let them live a little bit, shit.
Why are there so many of you guys out here? That's a level of TDS, man.
It's amazing how these things go, and you have no answer for why your healthcare premiums are up by 26%. You've got no answer why your gas prices are 80 cents more than when Biden left office. You've got no answer for why your energy bills are up 13%. You've got no answer for that. So because of that, you want to make yourself feel better by accusing that and calling that out as TDS. But ultimately, I call it something else. I call you have been inflicted with Trump dick riding syndrome, which is TDRS. Because you go and every time Trump screws you, you say, yes, sir, Mr. T, Donnie T, give me more, give it to me harder, sir. Because that's really all that you guys have.
He's mocking, man, so you can't change that.
That's right. And you've got
Trump dick riding syndrome. A lot of y'all got that.
nothing. You've got no answer. And there you are again saying, yes, sir, Mr. T.
Yeah, bone spurs. Scared to go and handle that real business.
Give it harder, sir. That's what you're saying right now.
No, that's why people voted for him after all the malicious
It's just pathetic.
since the 90s in New York.
And how'd that work out for you?
Who tricked him down.
And how'd that work out for you, buddy?
No, how'd that work out for you?
Yeah, how'd it work out for me? Well, my health care costs more, my gas costs more, my energy bill costs more, everything costs more. So I don't think it worked out very well.
That's world economics, man.
Yeah, that's called Trump being a dumbass and you being too weak to call it out. Let me tell you something, right? I don't give a damn about your feelings. Facts don't care about your feelings. Nobody cares about how you feel about this. And let me tell you something. You've got a couple more months before America goes forward and puts belt to ass on this dilapidated Republican Party. You're stealing our money. You're raising our prices. You're doing all these things because you people have no idea what the hell you're doing with this economy. You've made things more expensive, and because you have no ability to go and critique this president, no ability to say that it's wrong that we have a 13% increase in our energy bills, no ability to go forward and say it's wrong we're paying 26% more on our healthcare premiums, no ability to say that Trump's war on the behest of Benjamin Netanyahu was absolutely atrocious. You have no ability to call that out, which is exactly why the people of this country are about to throw you Republicans straight out of office, because it's common sense that this dilapidated, senile, out of shape, absolutely mentally obtuse president has no idea what he's doing.
And they was giving me community strikes for talking about people's appearance and shit.
Period. And it's just simple like that.
Why are there so many of you guys out here? That's a level of TDS, man.
It's amazing how these things go, and you have no answer for why your healthcare premiums are up by 26%. You've got no answer why your gas prices are 80 cents more than when Biden left office. You've got no answer for why your energy bills are up 13%. You've got no answer for that. So because of that, you want to make yourself feel better by accusing that and calling that out as TDS. But ultimately, I call it something else. I call you have been inflicted with Trump dick riding syndrome, which is TDRS. Because you go and every time Trump screws you, you say, yes, sir, Mr. T, Donnie T, give me more, give it to me harder, sir. Because that's really all that you guys have.
He's mocking, man, so you can't change that.
That's right. And you've got nothing. You've got no answer. And there you are again saying, yes, sir, Mr. T, give it harder, sir. That's what you're saying right now.
No,
that's why people voted for him after all the malicious
It's just pathetic.
since the 90s in New York.
And how'd that work out for you?
To trick them down.
And how'd that
If Jesus was here right now, would you let him in?
As long as he went through the proper, as long as he went through the proper, as long as he
came here legally. As long as Jesus Christ came to this country legally, we would let him in. Thank you. No, thank you.
If Jesus was here right now, would you let him in?
As long as he went through the proper, as long as he went through the proper, as long as he
came here legally. As long as Jesus Christ came to this country legally, we would let him in. Thank you. No,
Every time I post, I get a lot of hate from a lot of different people, but obviously it's going to be men most of the time. But my greatest hope is that one day these dudes will realize that I'm advocating for them too. Bro, I want you to live a better life. I want you to see through the nonsense you've been fed. You know? You live a sad existence, and I'm trying to help you. Every time I post, I get a lot of hate from a lot of different people, but obviously it's going to be men most of the time. But my greatest hope is that one day these dudes will realize that I'm advocating for them too. Bro, I want you to live a better life.
Y'all heard the white man.
Friday, July 24th, 2026. I didn't feel like posting it all today. And no, I'm not Alan Richardson. I'm not Reacher. But I agree with the clip I shared of what he said earlier. Because none of this should be tolerated. A guy in a tux accused of the most vile acts. Sitting at a dinner. Friday, July 24th, 2026. I didn't feel like posting it all today. And no, I'm not Alan Richardson. I'm not Reacher. But I agree with the clip I shared of what he said earlier. Because none of this should be tolerated. A guy in a tux accused of the most vile acts. Sitting at a dinner. Friday, July 24th, 2026. I didn't feel like posting it all today. And no, I'm not Alan Richardson. I'm not Reacher. But I agree with the clip I shared of what he said earlier. Because none of this should be tolerated. A guy in a tux accused of the most vile acts. Sitting at a dinner. Friday, July 24th, 2026. I didn't feel like posting it all today. And no, I'm not Alan Richardson. I'm not Reacher. But I agree with the clip I shared of what he said earlier. Because none of this should be tolerated. A guy in a tux accused of the most vile acts. Sitting at a dinner. Friday.
Exactly. Fucked up the whole East Wing. Tom, shut your whole ass up. You represent exactly what all of these people is talking about. A fucking robot moron who's just going for a few little warm spots in his ego. So fucking what? You still paying more for gas, you idiot.
Friday, July 24th, 2026. I didn't feel like posting it all today. And no, I'm not Alan Richardson.
Fuck Marco Rubio and fuck you.
Not Reacher. But I agree with the clip I shared of what he said earlier. Because none of this should be tolerated.
The whole reason why we put the Statue of Liberty here is to show the rest of the world, here in America, we got some beautiful babes. And another thing you might not know, Jim, is she's not holding a book. She's holding an iPad. The whole reason why we put the Statue of Liberty here is to show the rest of the world, here in America, we got some beautiful babes. And another thing you might not know, Jim, is she's not holding a book. She's holding an iPad. The whole reason why we put the Statue of Liberty here is to show the rest of the world, here in America, we got some beautiful babes. And another thing you might not know, Jim, is she's not holding a book. She's holding an iPad. The whole reason why we put the Statue of Liberty here is to show the rest of the world, here in America, we got some beautiful babes. And another thing you might not know, Jim, is she's not holding a book. She's holding an iPad. The whole reason why we put the Statue of Liberty here is to show the rest of the world, here in America, we got some beautiful babes. And another thing you might not know, Jim, is she's not holding a book. She's holding an iPad. The whole reason why we put the statue...
And I was like, well, this just isn't true. Okay, this is just entirely a lie. And then the top response is, fuck you, girl, bye, why are you lying? Like, dude, Oh my God. So you're going to just believe this random video on your For You page. This random video on your For You page that claims they have secret sources. Oh my God. Apparently, the person who made that video accusing me of like saying the hard R is now saying that she was in my house and she heard me say it.
Dude, what do you...
And I was like, well, this just isn't true. Okay, this is just entirely a lie. And then the top response is, fuck you, girl, bye, why are you lying? Like, dude. Oh my God. So you're gonna just believe this random video on your For You page. This random video on your For You page that claims they have secret sources. Oh my God. Apparently, the person who made that video accusing me of like saying the hard R is now saying that she was in my house and she heard me say it.
Dude, what do you...
And I was like, well, this just isn't true. Okay, this is just entirely a lie. And then the top response is, fuck you, girl, bye, why are you lying?
I have to admit, he's only human. He has made bad decisions in the past, right? But some of the stuff that he has done is actually good. He's a man of his word. When he says he's going to do something, he does it.
So no new wars, release all the Epstein files. He's going to repeal and replace the
Okay, you
ACA,
can't
build the wall,
blame
make
the
Mexico
Epstein-
pay for it, and the Russia-Ukraine war in 24 hours.
he actually
reduce
did that.
electricity
He
prices
actually
by
did the wall.
50% within a year.
I have to admit, he's only human. He has made bad decisions in the past, right? But some of the...
Okay, here's a question. How are you pro-life, completely against abortion, and then at the same time against free lunch in public schools, against food stamps for a single mother trying to raise her children, against affordable housing for lower-income families trying to get by? What's your justification? Okay, here's a question. How are you pro-life, completely against abortion, and then at the same time against free lunch?
They pulled the bill last night, but we're not going to get comfortable. The rot is still inside the system deeper than just one little budget line. I'm dropping the full sit rip at 1900. The $57 billion lie and the abuse that they tried to hide over the weekend. Be here at 1900. The mission doesn't stop. They pulled the bill last night, but...
Shouldn't you hold yourself to a higher respectful standard?
No, I don't hold myself to any bigger standard than the President of the United States.
So if you crash out and, basically use vulgar, insulting language towards half of the country, that's okay?
I only hold myself to the man that you voted for. If it was okay for your president, it's okay for me.
We're not talking about the president. We're specifically talking about Isaiah. You are hyper hostile
You
towards the
sound
other
like
party.
you've got Isaiah derangement syndrome, and I mean everything I said. Have you tried crying about it?
Have I tried crying about it?
Have you tried crying about it?
I actually got a better answer than that. What I actually did was I actually got out and voted, and about...
I don't care. Cry harder.
Shouldn't you hold yourself to a higher respectful standard?
No, I don't hold myself to any bigger standard than the President of the United States.
So if you crash out and, basically use vulgar, insulting language towards half of the country, that's okay?
I only hold myself to the man that you voted for. If it was okay...
I said it before and I'll say it again. Nolan Wells did not disappear himself in the ocean. Nolan Wells did not jump off that damn boat all on his own. He was pushed, okay? And you're not going to tell me any different because there's nobody arrested, nobody questioned, nobody detained. Secondly, no young black man or woman, college student especially, is hanging themselves off a tree. Not happening. They're not lynching themselves. They're not jumping off the bridge.
Another black child lost his life today in Austin, Texas. Somebody please tell me that what I'm hearing is bullshit, please. Over a fucking water bottle? Better yet, over some racist bitch calling the fucking police saying that she thought he had a gun? Thinking you have a gun isn't a fucking threat to you, you dumb bitch. The real problem was that he was a fucking black kid somewhere that you wanted to walk and you were fucking scary because you've probably done fucked up shit in your lifetime and you feel weird every time you get around somebody that doesn't look like you. As far as I'm concerned, the bitch that called the fucking police led to his fucking death. She should be locked up. She should be locked up. Bullshit. This is the fucking product of a racist ass system. Those cops should be locked up too. They should have training. They should do their job better. Another black child.
Given everything that was said here, especially about the allegations against President Trump,
I knew the injection would kill me. My score said so, and I still took it. The divine serum. One injection, one chance.
Donald Trump getting hit with instant karma in federal court as a judge has ordered him to turn over all of his financial records from the various entities in the Donald Trump trust. Donald Trump claims that he lost billions and billions of dollars as a result of some BBC documentary about the January 6th insurrection that frankly not that many people saw. Donald Trump sued the BBC for how they edited a documentary. He sued them in 2025 and Donald Trump's like, I had nothing to do with the insurrection. You defame me, BBC, for the way you edited this documentary that like nobody saw. BBC gets sued in federal court. Trump filed the lawsuit in his private capacity, even though it says Donald Trump, President of the United States, sues in his private capacity for $10 billion in injuries. And BBC is like, bet, okay, you're going to sue us. Let's do it. Let's fight. Let's brawl. Let's go. We want your financial records. If you claim $10 billion, let's see how your businesses were damaged to the tune of $10 billion. Let's go through all 21,000 of those stock trades, Donald Trump, in 2025, where you made massive amounts of money. Let's go look at Abu Dhabi and Qatar and all these, Pakistan and all these people who put money in your various ventures, your crypto schemes and this and that. We'll explore it because you've made billions and billions of dollars in 2025 and 2026. So how are you claiming damages? Oh yeah, you know what else we want to do, Donald? Let's depose Don Jr. Let's depose Ivanka. Let's depose all of the individuals in your orbit. Let's take the depositions of the Trump rat family and put them on the stand. And then we're going to take your deposition, Donald Trump. Let's go. Donald Trump's like, well, I'm going to subpoena you, BBC. And BBC's like, okay, it's litigation, guy. You want to subpoena us? Here are our records. Who you want to depose? Who you want to take the deposition of? We're not scared. That's what a deposition is. That's what litigation is. That's what discovery is. We're ready to go. Okay, Donald, we want to take discovery from you. We want your documents. Donald Trump's like, no, you don't get any. Can I give you 3 or 4 documents? And BBC's like, no. Hey, judge, compel him to turn over all of his financials.
Hey, y'all know shit getting ugly, right? When the judge tell you turn over all your motherfucking information, ready to deal with your ass.
Tell him to show up for depositions. We are moving this forward. And Donald Trump's like, we're not doing it. We're not doing it, judge. And then the judge said, what do you mean you're not doing it? You filed the $10 billion lawsuit. You think you can just get away with it? You don't think you can participate in litigation? Then Donald Trump's like, pretty please, judge, pretty please. Can I amend the complaint? Can I change what I'm claiming? I don't want to say that my businesses were injured $10 billion. I just want to say I suffered emotional, reputational harm, not any business damages. And the judge is like, well, that's not what's in your complaint. Your complaint says that you're seeking billions and billions of dollars of business damages. Donald Trump's like, can I change my complaint? Well, you've already amended your complaint. Why are you being so damn pathetic? Do you see what Trump does in all of these cases? He brings these $10 billion frivolous cases, this $10 billion case, that $10 billion case, and he's not used to someone punching him back in the freaking face. And that's what you got to do with bullies. You got to punch him back sometimes. And thankfully, you have the BBC punching back hard, finally, and you see how scared he gets when someone stands up to him, whether it's in litigation, whether it's in war, whether it's in a trade war. Donald Trump backs down when you stand up. And I know it's tough. I know it ain't easy, but you got to go right there. He sues you, notice his deposition, and watch him cower, because he's always been a pathetic damn weak weasel his entire damn life. He's been a loser, he's been a bankrupter, and everybody knows it. Canada knows it, Iran knows it, NATO knows it, Zelensky knows it, Putin knows it, Xi Jinping knows it, Letitia James knows it, everybody, the BBC knows it, I know it, you know it, we all know it. You know who knows it? Also, Katie Fang, because Katie Fang has sued the Trump regime for the Epstein files. She is taking down the Trump regime and exposing them every damn day. Katie Fang, a hero in this moment right now and forever, actually. Let me share with you Katie Fang's breakdown of this BBC debacle that Donald Trump trapped himself in. Let's bring in Katie Fang.
So, folks, it looks like, once again, convicted felon Donald Trump has bitten off more than he can chew. Back in December of 2025, Trump sued in federal court in one of his favorite venues, the Southern District of Florida. He sued the BBC. And he sued the BBC for defamation. And what was it over? He claims that there was an episode of a show called Panorama, and that episode edited together different sections of the speech that he delivered on January 6, 2021, which was the day of the insurrection. And that because of the way that the editing had been done for this show, Panorama on BBC, that it was misleading. And that Trump alleges in his defamation lawsuit that it led people or viewers to believe that he had directly called for violence on that day. Now, I'm not here to relitigate January 6th, and that phrase will become relevant to all of you in just a few minutes. But because Donald Trump sued for defamation, claiming $10 billion in damages, his lawsuit and the claims of that lawsuit have now made certain things relevant and discoverable. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, what's relevant is if you claim that you have suffered economic/financial harm, and that you have suffered reputational harm that may have impacted your ability to do business or to be able to have better economic outcomes, then your finances become relevant. And because they are relevant, they become discoverable, meaning that in the course of litigation, something called discovery is the process wherein either documents are exchanged, or you depose people and witnesses, or you have other sides answer questions under oath in writing. Those are just a few examples of discovery. And so at this point, because Trump has sued for $10 billion claiming reputational and economic harm, a magistrate judge in federal court in Florida has ruled over Donald Trump's objections that not only can certain subpoenas be served on members of Trump's inner circle, but that financials about Trump's companies must be turned over to the BBC. Now, I want to stop for a second here because I think that this is important for you to know. After that episode aired on BBC, the BBC chairman, Samir Shah, issued a letter in November of 2025. This is before Trump sued for $10 billion for defamation. Chairman Shah, in his letter, apologized for the clip that appeared on Panorama, the show, and Shah said that they unintentionally gave the mistaken impression that President Trump made a direct call for violent action back on January 6th. Now, Donald Trump's favorite law lackey, Alex Brito, who again is a lawyer that I sued his law firm for malpractice and they were forced to settle. Brito says that Chairman Shaw's letter apologizing to Donald Trump is an admission, is a concession, it's a confession by the BBC. And the BBC, though, said, look, we don't care. They've actually filed a motion to dismiss the entire case. That has not yet been ruled on by the presiding judge, Roy Altman. But the BBC says, look, it was never even broadcast in the United States, and among other things, the case should be dismissed. But because it hasn't been dismissed, and because Donald Trump continues to...
Make sure y'all smash that like button. Let's bring more attention and more awareness to the live stream. Help me out. Let's go.
Push this defamation lawsuit. Now these financials have become discoverable. Let's get into it because this is incredibly important. Through the course of discovery so far, as in through July 21st, 22nd of 2026, the BBC has produced more than 87,000 pages of documents to Trump's lawyers, because Trump's lawyers have requested these documents and this information from the BBC. Now ask yourself, how much information thus far has Donald Trump, the plaintiff, the person who's bringing this litigation in the first instance, how much has Donald Trump turned over to the BBC? Well, turns out they've only turned over 735 pages. You want to talk about a discrepancy? The BBC has produced 87,000 pages. Trump has produced 735. And according to counsel for the BBC, Charles Tobin, it's been a, quote, sham production of only 735 pages. It's only been news articles and other material pulled from the internet. So, it's a big win for BBC to be able to get its hands on all of these financial information for Donald Trump. BBC's legal team winning the arguments in front of the magistrate judge Enrique Lett. Judge Lett telling Trump that he must release financial records held by the Donald J. Trump Revocable Trust, which was created to manage his businesses while he is president. That's a lot. That's not just one company. That's what's going on, the financials in the entirety of that trust. So again, this is a 2024 show or documentary, Panorama, and the documentary was called, quote, Trump, A Second Chance, and it had a scene from the speech that Trump delivered on the ellipse before his supporters, those insurrectionists, stormed the United States Capitol on January 6th. And the editing that was done for that documentary and for that very, very, very short scene of Donald Trump, according to Trump, has defamed him and caused him reputational and financial harm. Now, I want to stop for a second and explain to you kind of procedurally how things happen in federal court when it comes to a magistrate judge, and the district court judge. So, the district court judge, of which there are several within each district. So the Southern District of Florida has a certain number of district court judges, and the judge who's presiding over this particular defamation case is a judge by the name of Roy Altman. Each district court judge has assigned to him or her a magistrate judge. And you can imagine the district court judges have a lot of work on their plate, so they are given an assist by these magistrate judges who are brilliant in and of their own right. And these magistrate judges often handle a lot of the day-to-day kind of these cases. So discovery disputes, like the one we're talking about right now, would go to a magistrate judge. And that magistrate judge would listen to arguments, make a ruling. And so when that ruling is entered by the magistrate judge, it can be appealed to the district court judge. So in this instance, we reasonably anticipate that Donald Trump will now appeal this ruling from the magistrate judge, Judge Lett, L-E-T-T. He'll try to appeal that to the district court judge, Judge Altman, to see whether or not Judge Altman agrees with what his magistrate judge has ruled. Now, these financial records are incredibly revealing. And so guess what Trump's lawyer, Alex Brito, tried to pull in the midst of trying to prevent these financial records from being disclosed? Alex Brito tells the judge, oh, judge, guess what? We don't want you to compel the release of these financial documents. So guess what we're going to do? We're going to actually limit our claim of damages in this case. We're going to abandon the kind of financial part of this, that his companies and his financials were harmed as a result of this defamation. We're going to limit it to just reputational harm, thereby, judge, not making any of these financials relevant anymore. But what did the magistrate judge, Judge Lett, say? Judge Lett says, sorry, but guess what? Your complaint, Donald Trump, is so broad and sweeping in nature that you've put the financial viability of your businesses at the forefront of your claims of defamation, and their vitality and their ability to thrive and succeed. Because according to your lawsuit, Donald Trump, you claim that the defamation that was allegedly perpetrated by the BBC has harmed you financially. You've now made the viability of those businesses a key issue in this case. And because of that, those financial records are not only relevant, but they are discoverable. This is the ruling, part of the ruling from Judge Lett. Quote, all of President Trump's brand, properties, and businesses are impugned or said to have been impugned. Reputational, economic damages, all of that is now at issue in this case. She said this at the conclusion of a 3-hour hearing.
More from Katie Fang right here. Let's play it.
This means the BBC can now do discovery on more than 400 companies that are owned by that Trump Revocable Trust.
You better believe it, Cindy.
Here's the other thing. And before I get to that, before I get to the subpoenas, let's talk about Alex Brito, the lawyer for Donald Trump.
Ooh, we about to get to the subpoenas. MAGA, get your popcorn, MAGA. Let's talk about it, because I'm going to tell you now, when the judges start telling you to do this and do that, it's not looking good for you. Not looking good for you.
Brito's like, look, our approach, our strategy to our case has now, quote, evolved. And because we're only pursuing reputational damages in this case, Judge, and not the businesses being harmed, these damages are now limited. And it's different from when we originally filed this case back in December of 2025. Quote, even if there has been harm to the brand, we are not pursuing that as a part of our damages. It's a far more narrow scope of what this case is about. And Judge Lett's like, sorry, you've now told me you're going to amend the complaint, but you haven't amended the complaint. And as we sit here right now, we are traveling under what is called the operative complaint. And the operative complaint is the one wherein you allege financial harm to your businesses. So that means that discovery can occur. So we all know what's going to happen, right? There's an amended complaint that's going to be coming down the pipeline, but you also get permission from the court to be able to do that at this stage. So we'll keep an eye on that. Now, here's another critical part of what happened at this hearing yesterday, which is the following. During the course of this 3-hour hearing, Donald Trump was trying to prevent certain subpoenas to his inner circle from being able to be not only served, but honored, right? So let's talk about those subpoenas, because that's really important. The BBC has been trying to serve these subpoenas on members of Trump's inner circle, including but not limited to Donald Trump Jr., one of convicted felon Donald Trump's fail sons, Ivanka Trump, Javanka, Ivanka and Jared. Guess who's next? Jared Kushner, right? So Javanka is being subpoenaed by the BBC. Steve Bannon, I'm not done yet, people. Stephen Miller and
Hey, Daryl.
Michael Flynn.
Your dumbass don't even believe that. You just saying some stupid shit that y'all want. Probably y'all talked about in a little girly ass Discord. Revenge of the Nerds ass motherfuckers.
That's not all of them, but those are kind of the highlights, right? And the reason why the BBC wants to be able to subpoena these.
Hey, if y'all think the Republican Party is the 2026 Revenge of the Nerds, smash the like button on these dummies.
People is they want to be able to explore and obtain evidence about Trump's state of mind and what his intent was when he gave his speech at the Ellipse on January 6th prior to his supporters storming the Capitol and doing the insurrection. And the BBC has argued, or did argue, that Trump must show that he did not incite the riot to prove that the BBC defamed him by allegedly implying through the presentation of its documentary, the clip in its documentary, that he had done so. See, this is a danger with bringing defamation lawsuits, because when you bring a defamation lawsuit, you center the defamation. And then you allow things like this to happen. A defendant like the BBC stating, well, we need to be able to determine whether Donald Trump's state of mind and his intent on January 6, 2021 was to incite it, because truth is a defense to defamation. And if it is true, as borne out through these subpoenas to people like Stephen Miller, Javanka, Jared and Ivanka, Don Trump Jr., Stephen Bannon, Stephen Miller, and others, that Donald Trump on January 6th wanted the violence to happen that ensued, wanted the riots to happen that ensued, wanted the insurrection to happen, which happened, then BBC did not defame Donald Trump in any way, did it? So the magistrate judge, Judge Led, agreed with the BBC's lawyers.
Y'all bitch ass motherfuckers coming in here talking about Kamala Harris lost. So fucking what? So did fucking Trump. Trump about to lose everything. And y'all gonna be some crying bitches again.
And said the subpoenas to Trump's inner circle are good to go. Now, she did say that the subpoenas to Trump's inner circle and the financials, that the information sought may be a little overbroad, which was a concession to what Trump's lawyers were arguing. But she did say, quote, I don't believe that a full relitigation of January 6th is called for simply because the documentary itself was related to January 6th. But she didn't enter a ruling that said that you can only do X, Y, and Z. At least I haven't seen one.
Hey, Carp, they don't get it. Them cheering for this fucking shit pile of a presidency is music to my ears. We love when you show how fucking dumb you are. We love when we say the fact that the fucking economy is tore the fuck up and your dumb ass is right in it. So you're not happy. So stop fucking lying about being happy about a fucked up economy. You bunch of stupid bitches. Greg, shut your scary ass up. You scared to go to 7-Eleven and look a black man in his face without pissing yourself, you bitch.
Right? So, here's the kind of shit kicker about all of this.
We love hearing your fucking mother cry, the whore.
Guess who is avoiding being deposed in this case? Convicted felon Donald Trump. Lawyers for the BBC stating to the magistrate judge, quote, they, as in the lawyers for Donald Trump, like Alex Brito, have ignored our request to schedule the president's deposition. They're dragging their feet on giving me a date for the president's deposition. Here's the problem for Donald Trump. You are the plaintiff. You are suing. You are availing yourself of the judicial system to be able to seek relief for the claims that you have brought. You cannot avoid participating in the discovery process just because you feel like it. And you can't avoid it because you're the president of the United States, because we've heavily litigated this. And if it's civil litigation, you can't avoid.
Hey, Greg, this your bitch ass president right here. And you too. A bunch of blades. That's what y'all is. Sitting the fuck around worrying about Obama. He ain't even in office no more. Your motherfucking ship's sinking like a motherfucking Titanic, bitch. That's why we laughing at your bald head ass.
Bit like your deposition. So Trump is in a real pickle. And that's why I started today's episode by saying, sometimes you bite off more than you can chew, huh, Donald? Because by suing the BBC for defamation relating to these January 6th insurrection and the speech at the ellipse and what you've alleged the BBC has done to defame you,
because Barack Obama is a better president, a better person, a better father, a better brother, a better husband, a better every motherfucking thing. And this whack-ass hair job of a fucking president is sitting here obsessed with the best. And y'all motherfuckers is obsessed too. That's why y'all love this pile of clay. This motherfucker failed y'all miserably. Not just failed us, but failed your ass miserably too. You fucking banana eating jokes.
Donald Trump has put the financials of more than 400 of his companies at issue. And he has also put the ability to subpoena people, and I'm talking serious people. The people are not serious, but I guess they're considered to be really high up in the food chain in his inner circle. He has put them at issue as well in terms of what Trump's state of mind and intent was on January 6th. And that's the reason why discovery can happen involving them too. And Donald Trump has to sit for a depo. I mean, it's an incredibly delicious use of the rules of procedure and of the law. And if Donald Trump doesn't want to participate, then he needs to get the hell out. But
that's right, which means he's better.
Because his knee-jerk reaction is to just sue for defamation anyone and everyone, which gets back to my conversation about the White House Correspondents' Dinner. But because he thinks that that's the way to go, then he needs to realize that there are judges, some of whom are Trump appointees, that actually follow the law and understand that in order to be a part of the litigation process, if you are a litigant, then you have to play by the rules too. So, we're going to...
Hey, Carp, they don't want to defend that fucking failure. Look at this bitch ass right here. Sweating another president with the jerkins. Come on, man. Original scent. This man is borderline fruity.
Watch what happens here, because the discovery in this case is going to be pretty damn amazing. Let's see if Trump amends his complaint to attempt. Because by the way, just because Trump amends his complaint to try to drop this idea that his businesses have been harmed to avoid this discovery doesn't necessarily mean that it won't happen. Okay? Meaning that the discovery won't happen. So we're going to watch this carefully. In the meantime, be mad, be outraged, demand accountability. I kind of like the cage rattling that the lawyers for the BBC have achieved here. My hat off to y'all.
Well, make sure you subscribe to Katie Fang's YouTube channel, eh? Katie Fang's doing such an incredible job. Great work, Katie Fang. Incredible stuff. Subscribe to Katie Fang's YouTube channel. Hit subscribe here. Thanks for watching, everybody. We appreciate you so damn much. And did you get your copy of WTF America yet that I wrote with me and my brothers? Hit the QR code. Pre-order.
In Conflict of Nations, you can build an army, battle other players, create alliances, and even drop a
He
nuke.
is
Just tap below
dying.
and download now.
My God, it worked? It worked, dude. I told you it's legit. 29,000.
I used this business loan program and I was shocked when I was approved for a $65,000.
Trump may be dead in 6 days, but I don't want him to die. No, I don't. And neither do you if you think about it. Listen to the whole thing. Hey, listen, his health is not doing well. He's dragging himself down. Not according to me. I'm not a doctor. I don't know. But I'm telling you what doctors are saying across social media. They're like, hey, he could be going in.
Shut your bitch ass up. You a fucking joke for sitting in a motherfucking non-MAGA live stream acting like you running some fucking directions, like you cared what's going on in here. Bitch, sit your whack ass down and get this medicine like the rest of you maggot motherfuckers.
Anytime. And 135 days ago, I put out a video saying, hey, 4 months ago, I said, hey, this guy could be dead by August 1st. And if I'm wrong, I'll put out one on August 2nd saying, hey, I'm wrong. And honestly, I hope I am. This is one of the predictions, and I got a lot of them, 90+% I've been on point about. This is one I hope I'm absolutely wrong about. I don't want that man to die. And if you think about this, you'll understand why, and you should probably agree with me. Here's the deal. Basically, Donald Trump is dragging down himself, the administration, and his whole party. And that same party is trying to kill us. I'll prove it in this video. I'll also prove the 7 groups that are fighting back, actually 8 now. And then I'm going to prove to you exactly what is going on, what the real deal is. So follow everything I'm saying. Just follow me, follow me. By the way, go into the homepage of YouTube after this and join my group before it closes this week. It's called the Clarity Group. It's free. It doesn't cost you a cent. And it is some of the most cutting edge stuff that you don't hear on YouTube. You won't hear on Twitter. You won't hear on any, well, you certainly won't hear it on Twitter. I ain't on Twitter. But you won't hear it on social media. It's inside stuff, and it's a community. And communities are hard to find in this era of Trumpism. And also I'm doing lives in there 4 times a month. It is incredible. People have loved it. And you can go to my video in YouTube talking about time to say goodbye, where I said time to say goodbye about 2-3 videos ago. And there are hundreds of people from the Clarity Group coming in there giving testimony on that, okay? Real talk. So now let's go for it. Over 20,000 views. That's the one that got over 20,000.
Fuck Daryl. That motherfucker in here looking for some attention. He ain't getting no pussy. You ain't got no girls. You ain't got no woman that you need to pay attention to. Because your fruitcake ass is in here trying to be the worst lump of fucking jelly in the world. We give no fucks about you. With your little lost ass. Don't make me put your ass out. I make it so you can see the live and won't even know your ass blocked.
Views, 22,000 views. Here's the deal. Donald Trump, because of his health, and I know about health because I'm
now say some more dumb shit,
from
bitch.
April, and I'm okay. My body's moving around, everything's good, taking my medicine. But here's the thing.
And you think you lonely now? Man, shut up. Now you acting like you got some sense because I'm ready to put your bitch ass out.
I want to tell you something, and this is real important. Realize what's going on with this guy. The doctors around social media have all said, and you know, doctors, licensed professionals are careful about what they say, and they're saying this guy could go out. Now, why don't I want him to go out? Why don't I want him to leave, y'all? Think through it. Here's the thing. Donald Trump knows he's dying. He's desperate, and he's doing everything he can. And in his attempt to do everything he can, he's losing incredibly well in the law. He's pulling down his partners. Do you know his partners lost $3.8 billion from that meme coin? All while he made way more than 600 million. He reported 600 million. He reported 600 million. He made billions, possibly tens of billions. Also understand that in this whole scenario that he's dealing with of Trumpism is that this nut job is also pulling down his administration. That people gonna go to jail. I said 70% of the cabinet could be going to jail and be tricked on by the other 30%, meaning the 30% is snitching on the 70%. Starting with Susie Wiles, the White House chief of staff. She's the smartest one on this cabinet. She gonna avoid that shit. She gonna trick on everybody else. I think she's the mole up in there. And then I've also said that, he's pulling down the party, the GOP, and they're trying to kill us. How do we know? ICE killings on the street, ICE detainees dying from elderly to infants and everywhere in between, deportees who go back to country, they're trying to flee from their lives and get killed. Okay? It's very clear that they're trying to kill us. Renee Nicole Good, Alex Peretti, Keith Porter, they're trying to kill us. The people down in Mexico, they're trying to kill us. Destroy, take $1 trillion out of Medicaid, Medicare. Affordable Care Act, 4 million Americans don't have it because they haven't renewed it while they have the best health care in the world. They're trying to kill us. Out of those 4 million, it is estimated that 50,000, tens of thousands could die this year because they don't have their health care. They're trying to kill us. They're trying to decimate the veterans' benefits. I've heard this directly from people who worked in the VA all over the country, veterans themselves, as well as, and they're trying to kill us, and as well as Social Security. The trustees of Social Security have said it's a wrap in 2032. They're trying to kill us. Are we clear on that? Okay. So given that, the more this party goes down, the better. Fuck the GOP Republican government forever. I know people believe in a two-party system. I do not. It's not that I want the Democrats to run everything, because I have said many times in this channel, out of the 2,000 plus videos I put out in the last 19 months, I have said very clearly that the Democrats got problems, big ones. From somebody who worked on Kamala Harris's campaign, I can tell you they got problems. There's issues, problems, and circumstances. Yes, there is, motherfucker. Yes, there is. But these motherfuckers, without a doubt, without an instant, are trying to kill us, and I've just proven it. So as these people are trying to kill us, what Trump is doing all sorts of crazy rantings and ravings and looking crazy. He's also causing he's got the whole judicial branch that don't trust him, even the Supreme Court, because he's trying to get his sexual assault case thrown out by the Supreme Court. That was the most ghetto thing ever. Even the Supreme Court wouldn't look at it. He basically lost tariffs. He lost birthright citizenship, which is like, wow, it's the Constitution. Why would you even take the DOJ and go up against that? Bondi and Blanche are idiots, and they're going to jail because they're covering up Epstein and everything else and other cases. They're covering up shit. They're going to jail. And what I'm saying to you is that the more this idiot gets idiot stuff done, the worse it gets. In fact, I want Blanche to be confirmed. I want that smoke. I want him to do it. Just like I told y'all in December, I want Bondi not to release the files. Because the more that shit happens, the worse it gets on them. The pressure is still on. We 7 months later, 8 months later, and the pressure's still on about them files. The survivors are still surviving and kicking their ass. And bravo for the survivors. They're fighting the fuck back. And it's looking bad. That's why he didn't go to his own son's wedding, Don Jr. He would have loved to have been the center of attention. Problem is, Don Jr.'s stepfather, we found out, was Epstein's banker. Even recommended Epstein. Not good for the press. That's why Trump said, I'm going to stay away from that. They ain't going to say a word. My point is this. The more he's around, the more he pulls himself down. The more he pulls the administration down, and the more he pulls the GOP down. Because what? They're trying to kill us. Now, there are 7 groups that are fighting back. And I'll name them off. Really, 8. The 8 is a secret. The 8 is the only place I've ever mentioned. The 8 up until now has been in my private group. Click the link in the homepage. Go to my YouTube channel homepage and join that fucking group. But you got to put your picture and your bio in there. We ain't having this mystery theater bullshit. We are transparent there. We're not doing anything illegal there. We're the largest group on that platform called School. We're the largest group, political group over there. And I want you to understand, we talk about not just who's fighting Trump back. It's not about what Trump did. Fuck that. It's about who's fighting Trump back. We're talking about love. We're talking about things we love to do, the fun. We're talking about good things, y'all. We got community over there. And you should have that, especially if you're in a red state surrounded by all these Trumpers. That's crazy. But here's the thing I want to tell you, is that right now we have 8 groups. And the 8th group, like I said, I've only mentioned in my Clarity group. You get to hear this for the first time. This stuff I don't talk about on social media. And I take it over to the Clarity group. And that's what you should know. So let's talk about these 8. You have, of course, the 3 I always mention, which is the attorney generals and governors who are beating them back. They're taking on a whole bunch of stuff, and they've been winning 80%, according to Letitia James, one of the attorney generals who are from New York. Then there's the nonprofits like the ACLU, Democracy Forward, whole bunch of people who are fighting back in the courts and in the streets. Then there is the judges themselves. There was a judge, a Trump-appointed judge this last week, who basically swatted away the DOJ's attack on Minnesota, trying to get rid of their sanctuary laws, and citing the Constitution and how important it is to understand. I believe it was Article 10. I could be wrong. How important it was. You can't just come in and just decide you're going to get rid of somebody's sanctuary laws. In other words, states' rights, bitch. All right? This has been the United States more than anything. And you've had hundreds of Trump-appointed judges fight him over the last 19 months. And people who really don't understand, here's a common word I keep hearing from Americans. Oh, well, we're just taking it up to the Supreme Court. No, bitch. Supreme Court only handles 1%. They can't take everything. Last session they had last year was 57 cases. They can't take all this shit. This is literally hundreds and thousands of cases. And that shit they're not even gonna look at it. So he ain't 100% controlling them even. So you got the judges, even though there's a civil war between the lower courts and the Supreme Court in the decisions being made, realize this, 99% of the cases are lower courts and appeals, and we are winning. And then there's the 4th group, which is the attorneys on pro bono case, because they are pissed out the law field against Trump because he tried to ban them from government buildings last year. Fuck with them. You don't fuck with lawyers and their money, especially not corporate ones that are worth hundreds of billions of dollars and know and understand the law. Then you have the 5th group, which is the 120th Congress, which is going to be, thanks to us, we showing up in November, going to be supporting them and fighting back. And then you have the 6th group. They're the interesting ones. They're one of the first groups of people Trump tried to get rid of. The intelligence community, FBI, CIA, NSA, each just by the thousands, they tried to fire him. But they got people in who are active, retired, and in the private sectors who are looking into his numbers.
Forever.
Why did he fire them first? Because of
MAGA forever. Yeah. I'm always going to love MAGA because I'm always going to be a fucking jerk. Woo, look at me. My nipples are hard. Go MAGA. Yeah. MAGA forever. That was the fruitiest shit you could ever say in your fucking life. Who cares that you're going to be a dickhead forever? Ooh, good for fucking you.
Corruption and Epstein. And then finally, well, it's not finally, it's second to finally, is the election officials, the same ones who stood up in blue and red states for the United States in 2020. They're going to come back and take this on. And then the final group that I haven't mentioned is the county and parish presidents. It's the first time I've talked about this, maybe second, but I've talked about this in the last 48 hours. And those groups are amazing because they aren't on the media, they low key. One thing that's important, and I worked on Kamala's campaign and she told us to go over to Indivisible, and we were in this meeting with less than 1,000 people and Senator Elizabeth Warren, and they said something in November of 2024. They said, and they're right, they said that the real key to America is regional and local. So that eighth group is powerful that nobody really thinks about. How do we deflect? How do we deny anything that Trump's doing? How do we get in the gun road? How do we get in the gun road? Whether it be through the courts, activism, whatever. Policy. Trump's people don't know policy. They don't even know how to put together an attorney general or put an attorney general in the state. Because the attorney general for Virginia, and then after the first one resigned, say, "Ooh, this is illegal, I'm out of here." The second attorney general and the attorney general for Jersey got kicked out by the judicial branch because it's illegal. It's wrong. They don't know how to do that. Many of their cases that they've lost, out of that 80%, sometimes as high as 95%, have been because of incompetence. They don't know how to put cases together.
Y'all bitches just making shit up just because your fucking party is in collapse. And who gives a fuck?
Bringing up is the transgender in the military. They try to go up against transgenders being in the military. They brought up evidence that they said proved it. The problem is this: it didn't actually prove they'd be good in the military. They're incompetent. His talent pool is not large because it's Trump. He wants loyalty over a talent pool. And because of that, he's in trouble. And as far as cabinet members, he only got 2 rosters deep. If he doesn't get Blanche, he's really fucked. But if he gets Blanche, he's really fucked. I don't want this man to die. We're winning. We're winning. He didn't win. He's not winning now. He's on the list. The list is coming out. If he lives so long, which he may not, because I just said he may go in 6 days. He's going to jail if he lives. And he's going to have company. Binge watch my content. Click the link in my YouTube homepage or in my description here. Get my group before it closes. You really want to be part of people? Be part of people. You got to have a picture and a bio, be a real person. But if that's not your thing, fuck it, it's cool. We are kicking ass over there and supporting each other. And it's a free group and people love it.
If anyone in this room found out what I was, I wouldn't make it out alive.
Quinn Talon, Squad 3. Is this a joke? Why is a level 1 on Squad 3?
300 heads turned to look at me. I froze. I wasn't a level 1. I was a vampire. And every ability user in this room had been trained to kill things like me.
Wait, hold on. The board just...
The auditorium went dead quiet as everyone watched the draft board scramble. Names flicker, and Quinn Talon reappear at the top.
Quinn Talon, Squad 3. Selection confidence, 100%.
It picked me, bugged out, and then picked me again. The system just exposed me. Everyone looked at me, more suspicious than ever.
There must be a mistake. He's a level 1.
That was Aaron Healy, Squad 3's captain. Level 5, the strongest cadet in our year. I'd had a crush on her since the first week of school. Not that it mattered. She didn't know I existed until the board put my name next to hers. No cruelty in her voice, just fact. But she'd said it loud enough for 300 people to hear. Great. First impression.
Quint Taylor, who's that?
Rex, level 4, flanked by his gangly lackey, Loop. He knew exactly who I was. He couldn't even be bothered to get my name right.
Every squad needs a weak link, I guess.
The room laughed. My face went hot. I started walking, head down. Vampires were hated in this world. Hunted. Ability users had been killing them for 1,000 years, and this academy was wall to wall with ability users. If anyone found out what I wasn't just expelled, I was dead. I was nearly level with Rex when he stepped into my path.
Well, I guess even the Academy makes mistakes. Good luck out there, mistake.
I looked Rex dead in the eye. Better a mistake than the guy who peaks at level 4. The laugh that moved through the room had a different edge. Not laughing with Rex anymore. Rex's grin vanished. His jaw tightened. He lunged for me. I wasn't looking at him. I didn't need to. I felt him shift his weight before he'd even lifted his hand. Then I was 2 feet to his left. There was no dodge, no flinch, no transition. I was in one place, and then I was in another, and the middle just wasn't there. Like someone had cut a frame out of reality. Rex's hands closed on air. He stumbled to one knee.
Did you see that? How did he... A level 1 can't move like that.
The whispering spread fast. Not laughter this time. Something else. 300 ability users had just felt something they couldn't name. Rex muttered something to Loop, and I felt it. The air shifting. An invisible force field locking around my body. Loop's ability. Telekinesis. It froze me in place like I'd been set in concrete. Inescapable for a level 1. I could shatter it with another step, but then everyone would see. Don't move. Don't react. Let them think you're frozen. Rex stepped up in front of me, took his time. He knew I couldn't move. The whole room knew. He cleared his throat. I heard it coming. A glob of mucus hit the side of my head.
Thought you were quick! Level 1?
Students choked with laughter. Rex grinned and took a bow. And I had to stand there, spit running down my face, because I couldn't show anyone who I really was. It was so unfair. My fists clenched, and the floor cracked. A single hairline fracture split the tile beneath my feet. I gasped, terrified I'd revealed myself. But the room was too distracted by Rex's grandstanding to notice.
Good luck out there, talentless Talon!
It would be so easy. One move and everyone would know what I was, and I would never have to take this again. But I said nothing. Then, a spike of ice buried itself between Rex's legs. Dead center, 1 inch from his manhood. The laughter died. Erin hadn't moved from her position at the front, hadn't raised her voice, hadn't even looked up.
The level 1 is on my squad. Leave him alone.
She said it like she was reading a weather report. Then her eyes lifted to Rex. Cold, bored, absolutely certain of what would happen if he didn't listen.
Or what, Healy?
Next time, I won't miss that tiny little pecker.
The laughter in the room shifted, aimed at Rex now. His face went red. The performance dropped. He stepped toward Erin, close enough that only she could hear. But my hearing wasn't human.
You're going to regret that, Erin. You and your little level 1. When I get the chance, and I will get the chance, you'll wish you'd kept your mouth shut.
He wasn't playing to the crowd anymore. This was the kind of threat you make when you mean it. Erin didn't flinch. Frost spread across her knuckles.
I'll be right here.
Enough! One word. The entire auditorium went silent. Rex froze mid-step. Erin's frost stopped spreading. 300 students didn't just stop talking, they stopped moving. A man stepped out of the shadows at the side of the stage. Master Leo, the blind swordsman. Every first year had heard the stories, that he'd ended wars alone, that he could see things on a completely different plane than the rest of us.
Everyone seems rather eager this year.
He moved like the room belonged to him. Not with aggression, but with the absolute certainty that nothing in it could touch him. Everyone stayed frozen. And then, he smiled, and the air returned to the room. He looked at the entire auditorium, and somehow, I felt like he was only looking at me.
You've been drafted. The squad qualifiers start now. Phase 1, individual duels, no abilities.
No abilities? In a qualification trial?
Abilities show you what a student has.
He paused, and something shifted behind his eyes. Like he was looking at the room but seeing something else entirely.
I want to see what a student is. Phase 2 will be full squad combat. Abilities, live. Any squad that loses will be dissolved on the spot.
Dissolved. That meant Aaron's squad. My squad.
10 students die a year at this academy.
He said it like he was reading a weather report.
Today might add to that number. Shall we begin?
At the entrance to the arena, a verification gate scanned each student on the way in. Standard security. The display flashed a number, confirmed your level, waved you through. I stepped through. The display started climbing. Past level 4. Past level 5. Past level 6. My stomach dropped. No, not here, not now. The display crashed. Reset to blank. I stood there, frozen, waiting for someone to point at me and scream.
Hold on. Step back through.
He pulled me aside. My heart was hammering so hard I was sure he could hear it. He reset the machine, checked the wiring, and gestured me back through the gate. I stepped through again. The display flickered and stayed blank. Nothing.
Huh. Guess the scanner's having a bad day. Go on ahead. We'll get it looked at.
He'd already moved on to the next student. Just a technician with a broken machine. But from the observation deck above the arena, Leo was staring at a screen. Then at me. Then back at the screen. My hands were shaking, and Leo was still watching. The trial arena opened up beyond the gate. It was massive. A flat combat floor ringed with tiered stands that were already filling with students. Squads clustered below, sizing each other up across the open ground. I found Squad 3 on the far side. Erin was already strategizing. She looked at our lineup. Beast weapon carriers, superpowered originals, then looked at me. Standing there with no weapon, no ability, no reason to be on this squad.
You're going first.
She was putting me in the spotlight. Again. The one place I couldn't afford to be.
Phase 1 is no abilities. My squad is full of powerhouses who just lost their powers. You've got nothing to lose. This is your only shot to be useful.
Using me was smart for the squad. It also told me something clearly. I was expendable. She must have seen something on my face because she stepped closer. Dropped her voice so only I could hear.
Level playing field. You can do this.
She held my gaze.
I know what you are.
My blood went cold. Every muscle locked. She couldn't. There was no way. The scanner, the sidestep, something must have given me away. And now the strongest student in the school was looking me dead in the eyes, telling me she knew.
A fighter. You don't make it at this academy without powers unless you've got guts.
The air came back into my lungs. She didn't know. She thought surviving this place as a level 1 meant I was tough. She was wrong about why. But she wasn't wrong. Then something in her voice shifted. From captain to something I hadn't heard before.
And you're on my squad. I have your back, no matter what.
It was the first time anyone at this academy had said those words to me and meant them.
First duel, Squad 3, send your fighter.
Aaron nodded at me. I walked to the center of the arena. Open ground, no cover, 300...
You're watching The Legal Breakdown. Glenn, Donald Trump just got some bad news at the hands of a Republican judge. Can you explain what just happened in court?
Yeah, Brian, yet another ruling from a Ronald Reagan-appointed judge who's been on the bench for 40 years, declaring that Donald Trump's executive orders are illegal, unconstitutional, and void. And I'll tell you, I don't know that I have seen a judge go quite so scorched earth in his language on Donald Trump, and I'll get to that in a minute. But Donald Trump issued 2 executive orders revoking funding for research, and these were with the National Institute of Health, the NIH, for 2 groups of people, racial minorities and LGBTQ plus folks. And this judge, William Young, a federal court judge up in Massachusetts, not only declared that Donald Trump's executive orders targeting these two groups of people were unconstitutional. But Brian, I'll tell you, I can't do justice to Judge Young's outrage without reading three very short quotes. The first one, the judge says, quote, "I have never seen a record where racial discrimination was so palpable. I've sat on this bench for 40 years now. I've never seen government racial discrimination like this." Quote number two, "I am hesitant to draw this conclusion, but I have an unflinching obligation to draw it that this represents racial discrimination and discrimination against LGBTQ community. That's what this is. I would be blind not to call it out. My duty is to call it out." And one last quote from Judge Young, quote, "You are bearing down on people of color because of their color. The Constitution will not permit that. Have we fallen so low? Have we no shame?" That's some of the choice quotes from this Reagan-appointed judge about Donald Trump's unconstitutional executive orders.
How unusual or unorthodox is that kind of language from a judge, notwithstanding the fact that he was a Republican-appointed judge, and so it's going to be difficult for the party of Reagan to be able to circle that square. But just in general, how often do we see that kind of language?
Brian, it is extraordinarily rare. For 30 years, I appeared before judges in the military, in civilian courts, in state courts, in federal courts, in trial courts, and in appellate courts. And people may not know, in the courts of Washington, D.C., not only are all of the federal court judges appointed by the president, but the 65 judges who sit on D.C.'s local court, the Superior Court for the District of Columbia, are also all presidentially appointed judges because D.C. is a federal city and not a state. I have probably appeared before more federal court judges than almost anybody else. I mean, I can't prove that empirically, but it's pretty damn close. Judges don't talk this way. Yeah. Even when lawyers, prosecutors, defense attorneys, civil practitioners make outrageous claims or outrageous arguments, judges don't talk this way. They're thoughtful, they're measured, they're circumspect. Even the most irascible judges tend to kind of pull back a little bit. They don't use language like that. But when you have a veteran of the federal courts for 40 years who says, listen, this is my duty. It's my duty to call this exactly what it is, blatant racial discrimination by our government, by the Trump administration, and blatant discrimination against the LGBTQ plus community. You know, what has pushed him to do that, just as other judges have done, is just how brazenly unlawful and unconstitutional Donald Trump's conduct is.
Do we have any indication as to whether Trump is going to appeal this ruling, or is there some concern that if he appeals it and it's upheld at an appeals court, then it becomes precedent that could have some impact on future executive orders?
You know, Brian, based on what we're hearing from some of the White House spokespeople, I am certain they're going to appeal it because they're spewing out the same old garbage. Oh, this judge is biased. This judge is using his own political views and ideology to attack Donald Trump, which kind of makes no damn sense given that he was appointed by Ronald Reagan. So
I mean that's something that they throw out every opportunity they get. They claim that, you know, Robert Mueller and his team of Robert Mueller, a lifelong registered Republican, and his team of Republican prosecutors was just a band of angry Democrats. So
yeah, which is insane. I mean, Bob Mueller was my homicide chief for 2 years, and I worked shoulder to shoulder with him every day. The man was a Republican through and through, but he did not let politics interfere in his prosecutorial work. But, you know, of course, every judge that rules against Donald Trump, and they're ruling against him by the estimate of one political scientist from Stanford, 96% of the time, they are not only Republican-appointed, Democrat-appointed judges, but they're Trump-appointed judges. You know, all Donald Trump and his mouthpieces have is to attack them as lunatics and deranged, which really, I don't even know that fools the gullible at this point.
So in terms of next steps here, this executive order was declared null and void. And so what happens next? What happens to the funding that was stripped away? What happens to the people who worked on this issue that were fired? I mean, where do we go from here?
That's a great question, Brian, because not only did Judge Young declare that this was illegal and unconstitutional, so they were null and void, he also ordered NIH to immediately restore the funding to these two programs. So that is, I'm sure, something that not only will the Trump administration want to appeal, but they'll want to file for an emergency stay. How many times have we danced this dance? And, first, Judge Young will have the opportunity to decide whether he wants to stay or pause his own ruling. I'm suspecting he won't. And then Trump will run up to the appeals court and ask the appeals court to put a temporary, even if only administrative stay, which has nothing to do with the sort of quality of Judge Young's ruling. It's just sort of a temporary hold while the appeals court gets to decide the issue. So I am sure that, we've seen this movie before, and I'm sure that is the way this one will play out as well.
Is there any indication as to whether we would see a stay granted at the appeals court in very much the same way that we're seeing that happen in other cases? For example, in California, when Gavin Newsom and the Attorney General out here sued the Trump administration for federalizing the National Guard and sending in the Marines, Judge Breyer, I believe it was, granted that temporary restraining order. That was stayed by the appeals court. And so do you have any idea as to whether what goes into account when they determine whether or not they're going to stay these decisions by trial courts?
Brian, I'm going to say, unfortunately, a pattern is emerging. It is no sort of small potatoes when a trial court judge issues this kind of a sweeping condemnation and ruling when it comes to executive orders of a president of the United States. I mean, it's kind of a big deal in legal circles. And I think most appeals courts get a little bit weak in the knees, even if they read the opinion, whether by Judge Breyer in the California National Guard case or Judge Young in the case we're discussing now. They are kind of loath to let it stand because it is of such sweeping consequence. So, I think the pattern that we have seen emerge is that the judiciary likes to be circumspect in the way they approach this issue, and they kind of want to be on the firmest possible footing if they're going to let these trial court orders go into effect. So I suspect we're going to see that happen again.
Well, I presume some of that is the result of the long-time deference that these judges have paid to the Department of Justice, because usually the Department of Justice acts in good faith and oftentimes doesn't even take cases that it's not going to win. But in this case, when we're seeing a Department of Justice and an administration that has so quickly burned through all of its goodwill by virtue of all the illegality and corruption that they're trafficking in, does that change the calculus a little bit for these judges, where instead of kind of the default position being deference to this administration, now they have to think about the fact that this administration is not acting in good faith and is trafficking in so much illegality that maybe deference should be paid to the folks who fight against this administration?
I think the answer is yes. I think the Department of Justice, as you said, has squandered its good faith. The judges ordinarily will look at federal prosecutors and believe that they are acting in good faith. They have the evidence to back up the assertions they make in court. They have the law on their side. They actually are taking care not to trample over the rights of the people that are enshrined in the Constitution. They have squandered.
This settlement check completely changed my life, and it came from a car accident I almost forgot about. I never imagined something this big could come from an accident that felt so small at the time. If you've been in any kind of vehicle accident in the past 2 years, even if you think it was minor, even if you were just a passenger, you might be entitled to far more than you realize. Here's my story. I was stopped at a red light when, bam, a distracted driver slammed into me from behind. My neck felt a little stiff, but the car seemed okay. We exchanged info and I drove home. Big mistake. Over the next few weeks, the pain got worse. I started missing work. My car developed issues I hadn't noticed right away. The insurance company tossed me a tiny offer and basically said, take it or leave it. I almost did. Then my sister's boyfriend, Marcus, told me about something called free case evals. He said, dude, just answer 4 questions. What's the worst that could happen? At first I thought he was exaggerating, but he had used the exact same tool after his own accident and told me it changed everything for him. So I clicked the link, answered 4 simple questions, and in less than 30 seconds, it told me I might actually qualify for a real settlement. I figured, yeah, right, but I had nothing to lose. A couple of months later, I was holding a settlement check that was dozens of times higher than what insurance first offered me. And here's where it gets crazy. I shared this tool with 5 people I know who'd been in accidents. My coworker Diana, just a passenger in an Uber, thought she had no case. She ended up with a life-changing settlement. My neighbor Kevin thought his accident from over a year ago was too late. It wasn't. My cousin Ashley, a bike accident with a car door. My buddy Ryan swore it was too minor to matter. He was wrong. Even my mom's friend Janet, she's in her late 60s, barely uses technology, but with some help, she filed, and was shocked at the result. 5 people, 5 different situations, and all of them discovered they were entitled to way more than they thought. Here's what nobody tells you. Insurance companies have one job, to pay you as little as possible. They count on you not knowing your rights. But this tool changes everything. You don't need to understand law. You don't need to hunt for some random attorney. You just click the link below this video, answer 4 basic questions, and it instantly checks if your case qualifies. If you do, they connect you with a specialist who handles everything. No upfront fees, no court dates, no fighting insurance companies yourself. A year ago, I would have accepted that tiny insurance payout and considered myself lucky. But knowledge is power. Diana was just a passenger. Kevin thought his case was expired. Ryan thought his was too minor. Even Janet, who can...
That, and just as the Department of Justice ordinarily runs around pounding its chest that they, win 99% of the time, albeit in criminal cases, they talk about having a 99% conviction rate, even in civil matters. The Department of Justice wins in the overwhelming majority of the cases. But when you start going into court as a DOJ lawyer and making just purely bullshit arguments, and the judges see right through them, your goodwill is gone. And when you're losing 96% of the time, that has to impact the way a judge will sort of approach each case when it has to do with an allegation of Trump administration illegality.
And finally, let's finish off with this. We know that the issue at hand here are health-related grants, and so obviously there is some degree of urgency in making sure that this is restored, or at least that this whole process is litigated and adjudicated in some timely manner. And so do you have any idea of how long this is going to take before we have, some decision on next steps here?
Yeah, and Judge Young actually made a comment that, this impacts the health of 2 populations in a discriminatory manner, minorities and the LGBTQ plus community. So I have a feeling we're probably going to see within about 24 hours the Trump administration seeking both a stay and filing a notice of appeal. Usually, there are different time frames to file notices of appeal. Usually it's about 10 days, sometimes it's 30 days, but I don't think the Trump administration is going to wait around. We're probably going to see something filed as early as tomorrow.
Okay, well, first of all, be on the lookout for the Trump administration attacking yet another liberal, communist, Marxist judge that was appointed by Ronald Reagan, basically the father of the modern GOP. But with that said, we will, of course, stay on top of this case as it continues to play itself out in the courts. For those who are watching, if you'd like to follow along with this case and other legal news, please make sure to subscribe. The links to both of our channels are right here on the screen. That's the best way to support our work and the best way to support independent media more broadly. I'm Brian Tyler Cohen.
And I'm Glenn Kirshner.
You're watching The Legal Breakdown.
At Vistaprint, we know you've got that idea for your business. The one that stops people mid-walk or makes your team...
Donald Trump says America is the hottest country in the world. But if there's anything wrong with it at all, well, that's Joe Biden's fault. This is just another day. With the midterms fast approaching, Donald Trump is doing everything he can to tout his accomplishments and showcase how amazing these past 18 months have been.
Costs are going down rapidly. Don't forget, I inherited these. I haven't been here very long. I inherited the worst inflation in history from Biden.
Or he's decided to continue blaming the previous guy. Yes, almost halfway through his presidency, and Donald Trump is still faulting Joe Biden for America's financial woes. Apparently, the one thing standing in this genius billionaire's way is old Uncle Otto Penn, a man who supposedly didn't even have the faculties to sign documents with his own wrinkly hand, but somehow still had the wherewithal to set Trump up to fail for years. But hey, on the plus side, at least Trump has found a new way to attack Biden's inflation numbers.
Their core inflation was
so high that nobody could even calculate it.
That's right. You know how that happens with math? When the numbers become so high, they just turn into emojis? Or if you're Matt Gaetz, once a number exceeds 17, it's just this emoji. But I'm sure America's current high inflation was the only issue that Donald Trump said Joe Biden was responsible for.
Are you concerned about depleted stockpiles if there is a broadening conflict in Iran?
We have plenty. We have a lot of ammunition, different types. You know, Biden gave a lot to Ukraine, and we're in very good shape. But for some of the more sophisticated stuff, we'd certainly like to have more. Biden gave a lot of it away.
Trump is constantly trying to have it both ways. He wants to blame Joe Biden for our decreased weapon stockpile, but also claim that our weapon stockpile has never been better. Much in the same way he wanted to pass on his genetics to his children, but also wants to use one of the recipients of those genetics as a receptacle for his penis. I just feel like there might be some reason, outside of Joe Biden's generosity toward Ukraine, that our stockpiles of weapons have been depleted.
Sources tell ABC News that President Donald Trump has held off on a major escalation in the war with Iran. The administration is now pushing for diplomacy amid questions about the United States' stockpile of weapons.
Wow. Who would have thought that the man who bulldozed the White House without approval to build himself a money pit of a gold-encrusted ballroom would be unreliable when it comes to managing resources? And not to be a contrarian here, but I'm not sure why everybody is so concerned about America's stockpiles. After this past weekend, I feel extremely confident that Donald Trump has plenty of bombs left.
The other day, a senator I knew got a text, a great guy, from his wife. And she said, when you get home, I want to have you immediately come up the stairs and make love to me. And he said, I can't do both. You know what? In other words, can't go up the stairs and make love. Does anybody get that? Well, I thought that was actually pretty good.
Oh, holy shit. That joke
That's y'all whack-ass president. This bitch is losing his mind.
So bad, I'm surprised Trump didn't claim Biden wrote it. But on the issues of America's stockpiles, Trump wasn't the only one trying to lay blame at Biden's feet.
About the assets, NBC News is reporting the Pentagon is actually rationing some defense weaponry amid diminishing supplies. Is America backing away from a larger military attack because its military stockpile has been depleted?
Well, look, we have to take a step back here in that a lot of stockpiles were depleted, not only from what we gave Ukraine over the last however many years, 4 or 5 years, and a depleted military under the Biden administration.
Got it. So U.S. Ambassador to the United Nations, Mike Walls, has declared that because of the Biden administration, America now has depleted munitions.
Do you acknowledge they're depleted, at this moment?
I want to be crystal clear. The U.S. military, and I've verified this every which way, has everything that it needs to conduct this campaign as effectively as it needs to be.
Oh. So Biden didn't deplete all the munitions. Phew, what a whirlwind. That was like getting in your car and seeing your tank is on E, but then someone telling you that E stands for enough gas. But so that we're crystal clear, our stockpiles are perfectly fine, and any rumor to the contrary is simply fake news.
And I have to tell you, the people that are leaking this nonsense deserve to be in jail.
Am I the only one confused here? I don't believe it's possible to leak nonsense because either the leaks are true or they're not leaks, they're just lies. In which case, jail time feels like a pretty stiff penalty. I mean, it would have been pretty weird if Edward Snowden fled the United States to escape a prison sentence, not for leaks, but because he told everybody that he used to date Jennifer Aniston. But what are you going to do? I guess high inflation and other depleted weapon stockpiles are the cornerstones of Biden's lasting legacy.
Diesel prices now at $5.20 per gallon. It's about $1.50 than before the war started. What do you tell the ag community right now who's dealing with that?
Well, there's no doubt that our farm economy is in a challenging time, right? Inputs under the last administration up by about 40%, even with those diesel prices that you just mentioned. And I'm not underplaying that that's not important, but that's still less than it was during the Biden years.
See, while it's widely known that presidents leaving office often leave a letter to the incoming president inside the desk of the Oval, what's less known is how presidents are also able to get incoming presidents into intractable wars a year into their presidency. Totally true. Anything else that's totally Joe Biden's fault?
When you look at the top issue among voters right now, it seems to be the cost of living. So what steps have been taken by the White House to really address that? Because that's going to be important as we head towards November.
Yeah. Well, the president and the White House, we fully recognize that. And I would remind your viewers and the American people of who caused the affordability crisis in this country. It was Joe Biden and it was the Democrats in this city when they were in power. And President Trump took immediate action on day one to fix that.
Well, here we are on day 553, and it hasn't been much of a fix now, has it? I think I know what happened here. Trump said he was going to fix our affordability problems on day one, but what he actually did was contract out that fix to a more reliable fixer. Well, either that or everybody in this administration is trying to excuse their way out of the most disastrous 18 months our nation has experienced in recent history. Honestly, inflation is Joe Biden's fault. Our depleted stockpiles are Joe Biden's fault. Our affordability crisis is Joe Biden's fault. I'm surprised Trump doesn't just say the entire disastrous war in Iran is all Biden's doing.
On the Iran war, have you been frustrated with Secretary Hegseth because of the advice he gave you early on in the war and how it's turned out?
I think he's done a great job.
Got it. Well, at least all this blame is coming from a sane place. The reality is, Donald Trump is doing everything in his power to rig the upcoming midterms in the hopes of keeping majority control over our government. But with all this incessant blaming of Joe Biden, you gotta wonder, why? Why does Trump want all that power so badly if he can be so easily undermined by a man who, by his own suggestion, looks like he should be acting in Life Alert commercials? Donald Trump's party controls the executive, both chambers of Congress, and holds a majority on the Supreme Court, and it's still not enough power to overcome the wrath of Joe Biden? Give me a fucking break. The real reason we have high inflation and our economy is in shambles and gas prices have skyrocketed and homes are unaffordable and healthcare isn't accessible and cancer research is underfunded and the Epstein files haven't been released is because of them. It is their failed policies and their inability to govern that are to blame for America's woes. Or to put that another way,
it was Joe Biden and it was the Democrats in this city when they were in power.
Sure. Before you go, one quick request. It's become clear to me that this White House is dead set on preventing me from reaching any audience. Trump's decision to...
A full cart that's lighter on your wallet. That's a breath of fresh air. Download the Upside app and get a $15 bonus on your first purchase.
Here's why Cuba is probably one of the dumbest countries you could use to take over the world. Cuba is the only country that sits between...
We will begin with war. Because when a country is at war, there is no more important story, day in and day out. The one story...
Stay on this video, I'll tell you how Trump's BBC lawsuit's getting worse for him. Oh, way worse. He was bad enough he was suing. And Michael Popak from Eagle AF talked about this. If they open up Discovery, it's going to get bad. And they opened up Discovery, and it's going to get bad. They're going after his irrevocable trust and find out what's going on with his numbers. But here's where it even gets worse. They're going after his whole family, his partners, everybody involved in everything. This is fantastic. But it gets even better when you look at it because they also are bringing in Jack Smith to testify. He's basically poked the bear. I mean, the BBC, the Wall Street Journal, and the IRS, this nut job has tried to sue all three. He tried to sue the largest taxing agency in the world, tried to sue a billionaire, Murdoch, who owns Wall Street Journal, and tried to sue one of the oldest news and most powerful news agencies in the world, BBC. And it happens to be one of the dumbest things in the world that he could have done. But of course, again, this is Trump who's dying. This is Trump who's decided that he's on his end game. This is Trump who has decided that he is going to do whatever he's going to do, like a 5-year-old child, poke at the system, thinking the system won't poke back at him. And it will. And if he just looked at his own numbers, he would realize he is not untouchable, that people can poke back. There are powerful people out there too. You know, what I begin to think about with this is the black blowback that's going to come for him through Epstein. You heard about that model dying in Paris, right? No, you didn't? Okay. Yeah, model died in Paris, was associated with Epstein, been blamed for sexual assault. All of a sudden, weird death in the suburbs of Paris. Another one. There have been several that have happened through associates of Epstein. There's a thing going on where they're trying to clean house behind the scenes. And the last thing Trump needed was to open up more cans of worms of where his money's going. For those of you who don't know, I've talked about Epstein since last year. And I talk about it differently than other people. I talk about, just like I do in this channel, context, not just news. So in context with Epstein, let's talk. Basically, what's happening is the society that exists is much bigger. It's not just this. This is Epstein, between my fingers. The whole video is the sex trafficking. And the whole city of Chicago, where I'm at.
This might be niche, but where are all my plant people even at? Because I'm not explaining Real Rock to people that don't get it. Then you find a Facebook event for real plant lovers, same interests, same conversations. Yeah, these my people for real.
So what are your big three emojis?
I think the sparkles, the baby eyes, and the castle.
What does the castle mean?
We cannot spell the word medieval, so we use the castle instead.
Honestly, who can?
Not us.
Not me?
Yeah.
Is the money laundering. Money laundering is the real game. There's 6 industries involved here. Yes, sex trafficking. But then there's drugs, guns, there's exotic items like kidneys and art and animals, exotic animals. Then there's intel. That's where the intelligence community comes in and uses that stuff against people. And then the final part is money laundering. There are trillions and trillions of dollars behind this. And I'm not just talking about, again, the sex trafficking. It's those other industries I'm speaking of. There are 6 different people involved in this. Lawyers, bankers, personal assistants, luxury assistants, intelligence officers, and fixers. The last 2 won't get caught. Bondi's a fixer. She's going to jail for other stuff, but she won't get caught being the fixer. She'll be caught covering it up. She'll go to jail, stay quiet, come out, just like Steve Bannon did. He went in 7 figures, came out 10. In a while, he'll be approaching mega status as far as money. He'll be like Karl Rove, a lot of money, $100 million status. Okay. What I'm saying is that right now, he's went in 7, he's come out 8, he's gonna be 10. That's what I really meant to say. What I want you to understand in this equation is that the same thing's happening to Bondi. Now I'm telling you all these things that work out. But I want to explain something very important. What's happening right now in this process is related back to his ridiculous court cases that he has against the BBC, the Wall Street Journal, and the IRS. It's opening up things. His money laundering, the players in the Epstein Society, and eventually Epstein itself and everything associated. The list is coming out. And they got a bill they're working on called Epstein 2.0, where they're empowering the attorney generals. Now, how good is the bill? Well, I heard it could go through. But if it doesn't, we're all going to the ballots, right? So whatever doesn't go through this side of 2026, after January 2027,
and when I rise, let me rise like a bird, joyfully. And when I fall, let me fall like a leaf, gracefully. Without regret.
I didn't really feel like an adult after I graduated high school. I didn't feel ready to live completely on my own.
I had spent a lot of time defining myself as a student, and I think I was neglecting the human part.
I'm on the younger side of my grades, so I knew that I could have a whole extra year to just kind of grow and develop and see where I wanted to take my life and my passions and interests.
I did a few years in college and realized that a lot of the habits that I'd formed there were very unsustainable. I needed to take a break, reassess what I was doing in life and where I wanted to go.
For most people, a private college education is one of the biggest, if not the biggest investment you'll make in your entire life. And so why wouldn't you want to pause and think about how you're going to do that and what you're going to make out of it before doing it?
We're a fall semester program for gap year students between ages 18 and 21. And we are based on a small-scale sustainable farm in New Hampshire. We're small by design. A lot of our programming is focused around the group coming together and learning how to live and work and learn together in the same space.
Part of being a farmer really is being a creative problem solver. You have to be a carpenter and a plumber and an electrician, and you have to know animal husbandry and horticulture.
We think really deeply here, and we read and we have discussions, but it's all held within the context of doing and action.
They learn more about themselves and how to be producers of the things that are part of their lives.
You don't really think about how a single foot-by-foot space has billions and billions of organisms. How it's not just how every tree is a living thing, but not just that, how every single tree has billions of organisms living on it and around it and within it. Things that we can see, things that we can't see.
Right in there.
And everything has its own niche. And I think that's very reflective of an ideal human society as well, in that I should find what my niche is, what makes me happy, and what I'm most skilled at, and use it for the rest of the world.
During high school, I was just constantly scared of other people.
Or do you think it would
Now that I've been here, I'm having a lot of social interaction and I'm feeling really good about it.
Get replaced with good times. Now you've
as you walk by, thinking about the day. Yeah.
People think I'm funny. It's like something has settled within me.
Some pictures first. You're crying. It's really heartwarming to just see like a bunch of people that didn't know each other and are now like the best of friends. Like I'm absolutely obsessed with every single person that lives in the Hill House.
It's not always easy, it's not always perfect, but everyone is trying to improve together.
Everyone has something to give.
Something about being outside, like hands in the dirt, dealing with the animals is just so therapeutic to me.
Too often we think of this disconnect between our head and knowledge and learning and our bodies as something separate, but when you integrate the whole person into a learning experience, your head and your heart and your hands all together, those are the things we remember the most and that impact us and that really change who we are and how we see the world and how we want to be. Gap at Glenbrook gives people an opportunity to pause and take time to think about who they want to be and what they want to do.
To come to Glenbrook is like stepping away from the camera and stepping back into the shot itself, I think. You know?
Yes, yes. See, I know it's slow for a lot of you, but understand our government's slow, and it's just a matter of time. A real matter of time. It's coming. It's coming. It's going to catch them, and a lot of people are going to jail. There's going to be some people who may disappear. There's going to be some people, that's why Peter Thiel, ran his ass off to Argentina. That's the real reason. That's the real game. Understand what's really happening. Slowly but surely, as this unravels, everybody's about to get fucked up over there. And all we got to do is show up in November, have a pre-plan, be ready. I'm telling you, we show up, we win. The first thing they got to do, of course, is take on the priority, the important stuff, the big, beautiful bill, and get the ACA benefits right, because people are dying right now. 4 million Americans don't have ACA benefits, and they estimate tens of thousands, 50,000 could be dying this year. That's a priority. But after that, it gets real interesting. We got subcommittees that the intelligence community is giving to Congress. That's unofficial. That's my opinion. But I'm not far from my opinion. Many of you know that. My predictions have been pretty good. We're going to wait this out. But the more he keeps pushing, the more he keeps living, the worse it gets for him. God bless America. He's going to bring himself down, the administration down, and the grand old party. And I'm all for that, baby. I'm all for that. Binge watch my content. If you like what I've said and you're new, you should probably subscribe and binge watch my content. All right? Okay.
Whiteout Survival. Play free now.
This is Democracy Watch. Mark, we have some major news here. You and I have spoken at length about the voter rolls, the fact that the federal government, Trump's administration, is trying to gain access to the voter rolls, which includes information like social security numbers, for example. You're litigating this in 23 different states plus Washington, D.C. We now have a major update in court at the hands of a federal judge that might throw a wrench in the entirety of Trump's plans. Can you explain what just happened in court?
Yeah, this is a blockbuster ruling out of a federal district court in Oregon. As you point out, these lawsuits have been filed all throughout the country in 24 states, including Washington, D.C. My law firm and I, we are fighting them in all of those jurisdictions. And one of those cases was filed in Oregon. And boy, did Donald Trump's DOJ pick the wrong federal judge to wind up in front of. Because this judge didn't just rule against the Department of Justice. He hauled everyone into a special hearing about how the Minnesota letter, remember this, the letter that Pam Bondi sent to the governor of Minnesota on the day of the tragic shooting of Alex Preddy to try to leverage that shooting to gain access to Minnesota's voter file. Well, the judge, found out about this and was so incensed he wanted a hearing, he wanted a briefing on it, and now he has issued his ruling. And he cites that letter in really an earth-shattering decision that says, quote, the presumption of regularity that has been previously extended to the plaintiff that it could be taken at its word with little doubt about its intentions and stated purpose no longer holds. When plaintiff in this case conveys assurances that any private and sensitive data will remain private and used only for a declared and limited purpose, it must be thoroughly scrutinized and squared with its open and public statements to the contrary. What that means is that the presumption of regularity, which is the biggest weapon that the Department of Justice have in almost every case. This means when they walk into federal courthouses, judges assume that if you are from the Department of Justice, you are on the up and up, and what you tell them is true, and if you tell them you have good reason for something, you do. This federal judge is saying that presumption's gone, that the Department of Justice can no longer be taken at its word, that it can no longer assume that in these cases, that when it says it wants these data for legitimate reasons, that in fact it wants them for legitimate rather than illegitimate reasons. And though this is only the decision of one federal judge in Oregon, this has the potential to blow open these cases around the country. And Brian, even more than that, maybe this courage by this judge, this realistic, no rose-colored glasses view by this judge will actually affect the way federal judges in other kinds of cases where the Department of Justice is relying on judges to take them at their word will affect those judges as well.
And that's exactly the point I want to dig into here, because you and I have spoken for months and months and months about the presumption of regularity, this idea that these judges will automatically confer goodwill onto the Department of Justice because the federal government, one would assume, after decades of them acting in good faith in court, that when they come into court, they're telling the truth. And kind of watching everything happen at the hands of this DOJ and this administration, watching the extent to which they will lie with abandon, and wondering when we will get to a point where judges no longer offer them that goodwill. And so my question here is about the impact that this will have on other judges. Like, does there come a point where, there is kind of a global acceptance that the presumption of regularity should no longer be given to this DOJ? Is it the kind of thing where it's truly just one courtroom, one judge in one courtroom makes this decision and it has no bearing whatsoever on other judges? How does it work? And could we get to a point where, all judges kind of do agree that presumption of regularity should no longer be given to the DOJ?
Look, I think the way these things happen, the way the law develops, the way legal theories develop, and the way in which courts view issues is by one judge going first and then others following. Uh-huh. And so the reason why this is such a big deal is because, as you say, there are 24 cases that deal with this basic same issue. And the fact that one of the first judges to rule in these cases found that the presumption of regularity has been rebutted and should no longer be in effect means that other judges considering these same kinds of cases will read that opinion and say, well, you know what? He made some sense there, and maybe I'll follow that that lead that he has led. I'll follow that breadcrumb. And the problem for the Department of Justice, and the good news for everyone standing up for the rule of law against this administration, whether it's in these cases or others, is that once you start to get a number of judges saying it in these cases, then you'll start to get judges in other kinds of cases saying, well, look, there are 6, 7 judges, 8, 10 judges who are saying presumption of regularity has been destroyed in this area. Like, maybe we'll now apply that to my area. And before you know it, one thing leads to another and momentum builds. And that's the reason why I think the Department of Justice is going to be freaked out beyond words about this judge's decision. And I expect we will see appeals. I think we'll see the kinds of inappropriate and sharp statements that this Department of Justice makes. I think that there is a total freak out going on right now in the halls of Washington, D.C. by what has been unleashed by Pam Bondi's letter to the governor of Minnesota. You were angered by it. I was angered by it. It caused outrage through the political halls and through ordinary citizens. And now here it is, a federal judge picking it up and taking that outrage, putting it in a legal wrapper in a particular case. But let's see if that spreads like wildfire, because that could be one of the biggest blows to this Department of Justice as it moves forward over the next.
Colorado has the highest vehicle theft rate in the U.S., with 661 vehicles stolen per 100,000 residents. Download Newsbreak to check where your state ranks.
Shine, shopping online. Download today and get started.
Years.
Well, so Mark, my question here is going to be, it's your firm that's litigating these cases, again, in 24 different jurisdictions, and so you have agency here. Are you going to be able to go to other judges and say, look what this judge in Oregon just said? And so if that judge wasn't willing to confer the presumption of regularity onto the Trump administration, you shouldn't either. And so I want to know if you're going to be doing that in some of these other cases where that litigation is happening. But first, a quick note for everybody watching. Mark and his team are the front lines of this stuff. They are what's standing between the federal government, the Trump administration, gaining access to your private voter data, including social security numbers. It is just them standing between Trump getting that info and that info staying at the state level where it belongs. So a small step that we can all take to support the invaluable work that Mark and his team are doing in the courts is to subscribe to Democracy Docket. That's the news outlet Mark founded to focus on everything voting elections. I use it on a daily basis. I used it to prep for this video right here. So again, if you're not yet subscribed, I'm going to put that link right here on the screen and also in the post description of this video. Please go ahead and subscribe.
Yeah, you can absolutely count on it that every one of these judges in these other cases is going to know about this opinion. And if Pam Bondi has any questions, she could subscribe to Democracy Docket and she could read all those filings, because one of the things Democracy Docket does is post-court filings. So yeah, the judges in these other cases are going to be made aware of it by us or in some instances by the states that are also involved in some of this litigation. But you can be sure we're going to make sure that every judge knows in these cases. And I would encourage lawyers, like I said, in other areas where this presumption is posing such a big challenge. Brian, I go all the way back to a video that you and I did a while ago, and I hope that people maybe take a chance to go back and watch it. And it involved the presumption of regularity, and it involved some of the earliest deployments in Los Angeles of the National Guard. And as you recall, Gavin Newsom sued and said there is no emergency here. Like there is no insurrection, there is no emergency, there's nothing out of control. And he wound up losing some of the early skirmishes in that case because the judges were saying, well, we're kind of bound by whatever the administration says the facts are. And, and that's an example of the presumption of regularity, taking all of these fancy legal words aside. It means that, if Donald Trump tomorrow, which he has not yet, but if tomorrow he invokes the Insurrection Act, he's going to say, his Department of Justice will say, well, if Donald Trump says there's an insurrection, you, Your Honor, have to sort of defer to that. You have to assume that the federal government knows more than you do about whether there's an insurrection in some Home Depot parking lot someplace. And once that starts to break down, once the government no longer gets the benefit of the doubt, as you and I argued, like I said, going back all the way to the Los Angeles situation, the judges should have been looking behind that then. Like, they should not have been giving this presumption of regularity. I think this doctrine has to be scrapped in its entirety, to be honest with you. It shouldn't just be one-off cases. This time in history, it is too dangerous to give Donald Trump's Department of Justice or any of his agency lawyers a presumption of good faith, and that they somehow are speaking on behalf of the American people in a dispassionate and neutral way. But that Los Angeles thing is a good example of how much damage this kind of doctrine did in the past, and why I welcome what's happening now with this Oregon judge.
Mark, for posterity here, and I had alluded to the fact that, your law firm is litigating these cases. You are what's standing between, private voter data, including social security numbers, getting to the federal government and staying at the state level. Why is this important? Can you offer up some indication for people who don't really understand that? They just hear, okay, the federal government's trying to get the voter rolls. Like, I don't really know what that means. It's opaque, purposefully so. Why is it so significant that this information stay at the state level and not be exposed to the Trump administration?
Yeah, if you have any doubt if the Trump administration agrees with me that this is the most important fight right now for free and fair elections, consider the fact that they have brought, as Brian said, 24 cases in states all around the country. That's the dedication of a lot of resources. And also consider the fact that when Alex Preddy was killed, one of only 3 demands that were made of the governor of Minnesota for the Department of Justice to restore the rule of law was the turning over of these voter files. So the reason why this is so important is because if the Department of Justice wants to engage in mass voter suppression, if they want to kick people off the rolls at scale, I don't mean a person here, a person there. I don't mean 6 people who they say died or, were erroneously registered. I mean at scale, like hundreds of thousands at a time. If they want to do that, they need the voter rolls. Why? Because they don't know who the people are to kick off the rolls, right? Like, you can't disenfranchise people unless you know who they are by name, by address, by date of birth, by social security number or partial social security number, by party registration, right? All of this information at a very granular individual level, they need to be able to accomplish the kinds of things that they have pretty much said out loud that they're going to try to accomplish, right? Donald Trump saying, I want to take over elections. He's not taking it over to make sure that the lines are shorter. Steve Bannon saying, let's have ICE surround the polls. They're not surrounding the polls to make sure the snow's cleared, right? This is all being done with a purpose in mind, and this is going to be, like I said, perhaps the biggest legal fight of a year in which we're going to have a lot of big legal fights.
And again, that underscores the importance of the work that you and your team are doing right now, standing in between the Trump administration, getting what they want from these voter rolls at the state level. So a small step, again, we can all take is to subscribe to Democracy Docket. I'm going to put that link right here on the screen and also in the post description of this video. And of course, if you want to see more episodes of Democracy Watch, that link's on the screen as well. I'm Brian Teller Cohen.
I'm Mark Elias.
This is Democracy Watch.
These ones on top of here.
Nice and simple, and it wasn't that expensive. It was like around like $14-15, and it comes in different colors. I got my daughter the pink one, and then I got my son this black one.
You have to put your password in, and it does this.
Oh my.
Build and fight.
I'm joined now by national voting rights correspondent at Mother Jones and the author of the book Minority Rule, Ari Berman. Ari, thanks for joining me again.
Hey, Brian. Great to talk to you again. Thank you.
So, Ari, you are one of the premier reporters in the country when it comes to voting rights. You do excellent work. As we see all of these threats continue to bear down at the hands of Trump, whether it's sending the FBI to an election office in Fulton County to grab all of the 2020 ballots, whether it's Pam Bondi sending a letter to Minnesota at the peak of the violence at the hands of ICE and saying we can pull back, but it's going to cost you your voting rolls. As all of this is happening, what do you think is the most pronounced threat that we're contending with? And And what do you think the impact is going to be on 2026?
I think all of these tactics by the Trump administration have a common theme, which is using the full force of the federal government, whether it's the FBI, DOJ, ICE, to try to interfere in the 2026 election. And it's funny to me, Brian, this is thought of as a hypothetical. I keep seeing all these stories. Will Trump interfere in the 2026 election? And I would argue he's already interfering in the 2026 election. When you have ICE terrorizing blue states and blue cities, when you have the FBI raiding and getting 600, 700 boxes of ballots in a key swing county, when you have the DOJ demanding people's personal information to get masked agents out of a place. I mean, I think this is already something that could lead people to choose not to vote for fear that they will be harassed at the polls, or their information will be turned over to the federal government, or their secret ballot will no longer be secret. And so this is all part of a concerted strategy by Trump to interfere in the midterms. And that's how we should think about it. Not as one thing here or one thing here, but as it all being connected.
What do you think needs to be done on the state level or the federal level? Although, presumably there's not much that can be done because Trump is in charge. But what needs to be done to kind of erect barriers to what's being attempted by Trump right now?
Democrats in the places they have power, particularly at the state and local level, need to do everything they can to try to Trump-proof the system, so we don't see more things like the ballots being taken out of Fulton County. We don't see more things like Trump issuing an executive order to seize voting machines and people being caught off guard. People need to think through the kind of things Trump might do. And this is not to be alarmist. It's not to be a doomer, but Trump takes things to the very edge. Right? We saw him do it in 2020. And so people need to be prepared, for example, for him to invoke the Insurrection Act, to claim a national emergency, to say that voting is so crooked, we have to take the machines and the ballots and other things like that. He can't unilaterally do it on his own, but I think we need to be prepared for Trump to push the system as far as it'll go if he feels like he's losing power. And every day it looks more likely like he will lose power, at least his party will lose power, and that's going to make the administration become more and more extreme.
Do you have concerns, even as we head toward midterms right now, that we may not have a free and fair election?
I have concerns about how free and fair it will be. I know a lot of people just think that Trump's going to cancel the midterms altogether.
Right. And I don't think
I don't have that fear.
Yeah.
I don't have that fear. The president can't unilaterally do this, but the actions he's taking are very intimidating to people. And when he does things like take 700 boxes of ballots, to me, that's as much forward-looking as it is backwards-looking. They want these ballots in Georgia so they can say, finally, we found the evidence of fraud, however flimsy that argument will be. Therefore, that's a predicate for us being more aggressive in terms of our actions. Whether, as I said, it's trying to seize ballots in future elections or take voting machines or deploy ICE or the National Guard or something else at the polls, things that we haven't seen in any previous elections. These are the kind of things that Trump is now contemplating for 2020.
Good evening, and welcome to Behind the Shadows. My name is Susan Finelli, and I am your host and author of Behind the Shadows, a program where we go behind the shadows of what meets the eye. This evening, we will be going behind the shadows of hoarding. Our guest tonight is Dr. Stephen Brodsky. Dr. Brodsky is a licensed clinical psychologist and psychotherapist practicing in Manhattan and New Jersey. He specializes in treating OCD, hoarding, and panic. Dr. Brodsky has treated numerous cases of hoarding, which has gained increasing public attention, insomuch as we now have reality television shows exploiting hoarders. Dr. Brodsky's clients include individual hoarders, family members, and landlords. Dr. Brodsky has a website, www.OCDhoarder.com, OCDhotline.com, where individuals can go online and ask Dr. Brodsky confidential questions and receive confidential replies. Dr. Brodsky, welcome to Behind the Shadows.
Pleasure to be here, Susan.
It is my pleasure to have you here this evening. Why don't we talk a little bit about your practice and the types of patients that come to you?
Sure. Well, I'm a private practitioner. I have offices here in Manhattan, in New Jersey, and also in Rockland County. People who come to me are generally self-referred. They find me online and are very, very self-select group of individuals. For the most part, most of the people that see me, and I'm in full-time practice, have OCD in some form or another. They may also have panic or some other kind of condition related to it, but hoarding is certainly a very large percentage of it.
Is hoarding a product of OCD?
Hoarding is a type of OCD.
It is.
It's actually an anxiety condition where people have have shivers go up their spine about letting go of things and compulsively hold on to them or collect them and so forth.
What's the difference between collecting and hoarding?
Well, I think most of us have a little collection of something, whether it's a collection of plates or a collection of trains or what have you. Hoarding, and that's just a hobby and interest. Hoarding is really an illness, a mental illness. For various reasons, people become a victim to it for a number of different ways. But basically, it involves collecting or buying or just not throwing out objects, possessions of anything from the most trivial, something of trivial importance, to other things that may just have sentimental or symbolic value, and literally will clutter up their entire home, making it almost impossible to live there comfortably.
Well, if our control room can put up a picture, we have a sample of what a hoarding situation looks like. And does our control room have that? Here we go. Taking a look at this, I mean, this is certainly not a collection.
Definitely not, I would say so.
Because collectors usually, maybe they'll put things in categories and they'll log them if you're collecting stamps or coins. Okay, thank you, control room. So, but hoarders, it's random. I mean, or do they target specific items?
You know, it really varies by each individual. No two cases are really identical. But there are a variety of different reasons and paths that I find hoarders come to their particular practice. For example, some people, it does become like an innocent hobby, but for various reasons, they become so attached to these items, they become symbolic or sentimental to them. And no matter how crowded their house is, there could be no place to sit, there could be no place to sleep, there could be no place to cook. They just can't let them go. It's almost like they're letting go of a person in their life.
Well, you know, preparing for this show, researching, I watched a few episodes of, I believed it was Buried Alive. I had never even focused on hoarding. And I don't know how those people breathe, never mind live, because things are literally from floor to ceiling, wall to wall. You know, one of the shows, you know, the toilet didn't work, the sink didn't work. And I don't understand, like, you know, how
someone can let them get to that state.
Yeah, and talk to me a little bit about how they don't let family members in their lives to help them.
Right. Well, one of the other ways that people get involved with this to begin with is that they believe that they are the only ones who can touch or handle any of their belongings. Anyone else is seen as someone who may damage them, who may throw them out, which usually is what family members are attempting to do. But they often, although they're this slide that you showed up a moment ago seems to be just complete chaos, the hoarder usually knows that there's something in a particular pile somewhere, but if it gets moved, they won't be able to find anything. So it's almost like someone who places so much of a desire for organization on their life that it becomes impossible to really do because they've just collected so much.
Well, I was reading that hoarders also place false value on an item. So if I went into a hoarder's home and found a place setting or silverware, flatware, they might tell me, oh yeah, it's from the Queen of England and it may have been from the 5 and dime. Right. Do you see that in your practice?
Definitely. I may use a couple of psychological terms that some people...
Please do.
So, very often when someone has a particular vulnerability or insecurity, rather than face that problem, or if they're not able to resolve it, they tend to project it upon other things, whether it's people or whether it's their possessions and objects. So they can sometimes view, if they are feeling vulnerable for perhaps certain childhood reasons, they will begin to see, their very possessions as being, like I said, like poor victims or children almost, and to throw them away would be like a betrayal or an abandonment of them.
Right. Well, let's talk a little bit about childhood reasons. I mean, can abuse trigger this, or sexual abuse? I mean, do you find in your practice that hoarders have some sort of abuse in their background, sexual or otherwise?
There really is no single childhood background that I could say results in hoarding, except possibly that someone else in their family was a hoarder and it became a learned form of behavior to some extent.
Right.
Like most things in life, with mental illness, there's always a little bit of nature and a little bit of nurture, a little bit of heredity, and a little bit of learned behaviors. So a child could possibly, it's possible, for example, I had a female client who did in fact, unfortunately, suffer sexual abuse, who was a hoarder, and just the place was completely unlivable for her or her husband. But in a way, the clutter was sort of an insulation for her, a protection for her. She would, for example, also worry about her health, ironically, since she was in such an unhealthy environment. But again, it's an expression of her feeling of vulnerability and a need for protection from the outside.
Well, it's interesting that you say that you had a patient and her husband came with her, excuse me. Are there ever couple hoarders that come to you, that they enable each other?
Well, it's certainly possible, but generally speaking, it tends to be one or two individuals in the family. Anything's possible, any combination. It could be a parent and a child who do it, a couple that do it. Generally speaking, there seems to be one lead hoarder and the other one who is, miserable and putting up with it.
Right.
So really, it's really the person who's not the hoarder that frequently is enabling the hoarder.
Enabling the hoarder. Now, I understand hoarding affects emotions, thoughts, behavior. Talk a little bit about that. And what are the symptoms of a hoarder? Not as extreme as the pictures that we had up. And maybe the control room can throw up a picture again for us, please. That's your lower third. Can we have there we go. So maybe something not as extreme as this. It didn't get here yet. I'm assuming that this is the path one goes down. Thank you, control room. But what are the first symptoms that, I think so-and-so is becoming a hoarder?
Right. Well, certainly any history of OCD would be, something to begin watching, whether it has to do with hoarding or anything else for that matter. There are many forms of OCD.
Let's talk a little bit about OCD.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, OCD is an anxiety disorder. There are literally millions of types of it, not just the typical ones you see on TV, hand washing, putting things in order, checking locks. There are really many, many more that one can't even imagine. And in many cases, the person is obsessed with a particular worry in their mind that makes them, it could be that something bad is going to happen to someone or to themselves. It could be that they feel guilty about something, and then they engage in some kind of a behavior that tries to get rid of that bothersome thought and its associated discomfort. The problem is that it's sort of like telling yourself to not think about a white elephant. If you're doing something to get rid of a thought, You're just really reminding yourself more of it. And over time, what happens is however it gets started, the real factor is what the person themselves is doing to add to it.
Right.
So the more the person engages in some of these compulsions, which in the case of a hoarder would be, either collecting or just avoiding throwing things out. The more they do it, the more they're actually actively building their fear larger and larger.
Mm-hmm.
So in terms of treatment, the implication is that if we reverse their behavior, their anxiety over these worries will diminish.
So are you treating OCD? And as a result, can hoarding be cured?
Definitely. Hoarding is a type of OCD, and frequently people who are hoarders have other OCD symptoms along any of these other lines. It's extremely treatable. OCD is extremely treatable, as is hoarding. It takes work. But it's not something that's scary like you see on these sensationalistic television shows.
Right.
It's very gradual. You and the therapist talk about, various options, about brainstorm what you feel ready to do, and that's what you do. And then it's sort of like stretching a little more and a little more, just like exercising at a gym.
Do you go into the hoarder's environment when you treat them?
Frequently I do. I will go in and there'll be a particular, usually what I try to do is to find, with the hoarder to find one section of their home that would really add to their quality of life if it were clear. It could be something as simple as a chair, clearing a chair, or a table, or their bed. So it's very goal-oriented, and they really, it's tremendous satisfaction to be able to, there's just so much you could get overwhelmed. To focus on a small part of it makes it more manageable.
Now, I read that hoarders mostly, and I don't know if it's true, I read it, and you can tell me, that they keep themselves in a dark environment. Is this true?
Well, I think by default, yes. Basically, it's they live literally in shadows of these piles of debris in their house. I don't know if it's necessarily that they all turn off the lights per se, but that some people are very concerned about their clutter of possessions decaying, and so they'll do anything. They'll keep the lights off. They'll keep the air conditioning run nonstop all year round. You name it.
Well, I remember when I was a child, my mother had a friend who was immaculate. I mean, from head to toe, there was never a hair out of her, out of place, and lipstick always on. And my mother told me the first time she went in her house, she said it was like the Collier brothers.
Right.
Yeah, she said she couldn't believe it. So, I mean, is that a characteristic of hoarding? So they put on a persona?
Well, what I would say is that generally speaking, hoarding, OCD, people tend to have some aspect of their life in which they're a bit perfectionistic. So it seems paradoxical that someone who's so put together on the outside would be so disorderly in private. But when you think about it, what they have in common is that it's much easier to put yourself together and look and really be very perfect about it. Whereas in the case of their apartment, they have a perfectionistic standard either of what they need to feel comfortable, what they need to feel safe for the future. For example, many people who might be, like the friend you were mentioning, may engage in what we call information hoarding. So for example, instead of necessarily sentimental objects, they will just collect printed matter, ad nauseum, because, even though they never get to read it, it's possible there may be some important information that they might need at some point in their life. And so again, in this case, it's sort of a perfectionistic desire for information and control and so forth.
Well, I understand that there are hoarders that are in denial. So family and friends will say, Joe, you're really hoarding things. No, I'm not. I'm really not. I know where everything is. I know everything I have, and I'm not hoarding. So that is a symptom of, what is that denial?
People just really lose perspective. We have to keep in mind this is a mental illness. It doesn't mean the person's crazy in that sense, but it is a mental illness. It's an anxiety disorder that clouds their judgment. And you know, it's like anything else. When something builds up gradually, you really don't notice it.
Yeah.
And you sort of become accustomed to it. And with some people, they have some kind of an odd side benefit that somehow makes them feel psychologically safe, perhaps.
Yeah. Now, I understand that landlords come to you. How do landlords even know what's going on?
Well, hoarding tends to be a very, very private matter. Person often does feel embarrassed about it and frequently does not let anyone into their home. And so eventually what happens is that in apartment buildings, such as in the city, landlords make periodic inspections and so forth. Exterminators come around, they won't let them in. And lately, with all the awareness of hoarding, I think more and more landlords have seen that as definitely a symptom of whether someone might be hoarding.
Right.
That might be the most clear symptom to go on.
Right. And do neighbors complain? I mean, is that how landlords find out? Or?
Yes, they do complain. It's a risk to everybody's health and hygiene.
Right.
Ultimately, what ends up happening is, if the person doesn't get help soon enough, is ultimately a crisis happens. Either there's pests, bed bugs, mice, a fire, you know, or just whatever it is. It's something that the inspector cannot get to even inspect because it's completely cluttered.
Right. Now, does it impair their decision-making process, someone living in such a cluttered environment?
Well, first of all, anxiety of any kind impairs our decision-making process and our perceptions and thinking. That would be true whether it's hoarding, OCD, or just having a stressful day. It affects your attention, your memory, your concentration. Those are usually the first things to go. Now, and certainly in terms of their judgment of their own hoarding, that's certainly very distorted.
Yeah. Is there shame attached? Does the individual deep down, is there shame attached into the way they're living?
Well, I think that there is definitely for all of them. There are many who are in denial, but I think that even they would agree that it's too much, and that, or at least they realize that it's not normal for them not to have friends or guests over, or for their, spouse or children not to have any place to sleep.
Right.
So I would agree, yeah.
Do you treat the family members that are living with them? I mean, is that part of the treatment?
Most often, the way I get a referral is from a family member or from a landlord. It is much less frequently that the hoarder themselves actually reaches out for help. It's either so embarrassing, or they truly are so attached and fearful of discarding these items that they're afraid to reach out for help. In many cases, if the person is living alone, that's usually the worst situation because there's no one to try to influence them.
Yeah.
And they lose all perspective of what seems to be a norm or not.
Are they functional? I mean, do they go out to work? And
it could be anyone. It could be just someone like you or me, Susan, who works, may have a family and so forth. And as you said, no one would ever think.
Right, no one would think, yeah.
So frequently, again, many of these people, in fact, are very impressive on the outside and are very organized and effective people in a very controlled type of environment, like an office or where they have to interact with people. Left to their own devices, though, they kind of melt down and become involved, with hoarding.
Can a hoarder separate themselves from, I'm a hoarder at home, but when I go to work, I mean, are their desks, do they hoard at work, or you would never know looking at them?
Some do. Obviously, it tends to be the more social scrutiny there is, the less someone tends to hoard. But you can sometimes see a similar kind of thing. You'll see one extreme or the other. Either they will be extremely minimalistic and highly organized at work, such that you would utterly be amazed to learn that they were a hoarder, or you would indeed see some hoarding and sloppiness and stuff at work. That's not to say, of course, that anyone who has a sloppy desk, including myself, is a hoarder. You know.
I understand. But also, there are people that hoard animals also. Is that
true.
correct?
There's no end of possibilities for hoarding. It could be anything. Yes, it could be animals. It could be literally anything. And of course, that is, the most disturbing and stressful kind of situation for the animals as well as for the people involved.
Absolutely. I mean, you see on the news all the time. I think just recently they found a home with 300 cats.
Yes.
I mean, it's abuse. It's animal abuse.
Yes.
It really is.
But the person may think that they're actually taking care of them.
Yeah, that they're helping. Absolutely.
Or that they're the only ones who can do it right.
Yeah. Now, hoarding must also interfere with a person's day-to-day activity and sleeping, insomnia.
Absolutely. Every aspect, certainly of their home life, is affected, and that in turn, so sleeping, yes, many hoarders' beds are covered with clutter.
Right.
They kind of dig themselves into their bed each night to find a way to sleep, while trying very hard not to shift their piles of things because they're afraid that they may not then be able to find something.
The moment they move it, it's lost.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Same thing. Yes, they can't invite guests over. There's no couch space. There's no counter space. There's no sink space. It literally makes it unlivable.
And it must be dangerous. I mean, they can trip over things.
It is very dangerous.
It's got to be dangerous.
And again, that is often the way that it's discovered, is that someone sadly, has injured themselves or, God forbid, has passed away.
Yeah.
And the only way it's ever discovered, much like the Collier brothers.
The Collier brothers.
Right, is that way.
Yeah, well, I remember when I was a kid and, I wouldn't clean my room, my mother would say, oh, this is like the Collier brothers, not, of course, never knowing what it was. And then when I got older and found out what the Collier brothers, I was horrified that, shoes under the bed qualified me as the Collier brothers, But,
I hope you could talk your mother out of that.
Exactly, and she got me to clean my room. That's for sure. That's for sure. But let's talk a little bit more about denial.
Yes.
Because I know there are people in the world that are definitely in denial, and it affects everyday living.
Yes.
It doesn't have to be a spouse, it could just be a friend.
Right.
How do we get around denial? How does a loved one, get somebody around denial?
Well, now this is really the clincher, because it really is primarily through another person that this person is going to get help. That's true of many things, in terms of psychological health, but certainly with hoarding, or other forms of OCD for that matter. And the difficult part about this is that families feel that maybe the person needs more love, or maybe the person needs more understanding. Maybe they can be persuaded. None of that is possible. In fact, that will just make the problem worse.
Oh, I see.
In fact, what it really does require is for the family to be rather a tough love approach.
Like an intervention kind of thing?
An intervention, and also no longer enabling them. For example, someone with OCD or with hoarding, the family, the person gets visibly upset if their stuff is tampered with. So, the family gradually learns to just avoid that. And of course, with children who don't know any better, they just grow up that way. They don't know any other way. And gradually the family retreats further and further and further into tiny quarters in the home.
Right.
What they really have to live their life as if nobody in their family hoards. They have to take back their rooms, their living rooms, their kitchens, and so forth, as if it really belongs to them and not to the hoarder. And the hoarder is not going to thank them for that. They're going to be very, very upset. But what I will say is that they can no longer be in denial then that this is a problem. And usually that is the only thing that will bring a loved one into therapy. So certainly families, friends should not in any way be deluded into thinking that being kind and gentle is the right approach.
Right.
The harder the tougher they are, the more they're actually helping the person.
But let's say a family member decides to infiltrate the hoarder, and I'm taking back my portion of the bedroom. Does it put them over the brink?
No, it doesn't.
No?
It's only an anxiety condition. They'll scream, they'll yell.
And that's it.
And that's it, basically.
Well, Dr. Brodsky, I can't believe we're getting cued that we're running out of time. We've just scratched the surface. This was, I can't thank you enough for coming to join us tonight.
It's my pleasure, Susan. It's good to have an opportunity with a show like yours to be able to teach the public about this condition and how they can get help.
Yes, I appreciate it. So thank you again. And I'd like to thank you, our audience, for tuning in tonight. If you've missed any of our programs, you can go to my website at www.behindtheshadows.com and click on Public Access Television. If there's a topic that you would like us to discuss, you can contact me at susan@behindtheshadows.com. And until next time, remember, the brightest light shines behind the shadows. Thank you again. It's a great show.
Thank you. It really did surprise me.
I have a theory with regard to Tulsi Gabbard, because obviously she was, she caught a lot of attention because she was at the execution of that FBI search warrant in Fulton County, Georgia, and she shouldn't be there in theory. Well, nobody should be there in theory because that shouldn't have happened, but she in particular shouldn't have been there because her job as Director of National Intelligence is to make sure that there wouldn't be foreign interference in the election. And so I have a theory as to why she might have been there, and we've seen Trump repost, crazy Truth Social conspiracy theories about how the Italians and the Swiss and the Chinese are all, part of some grand conspiracy with Joe Biden's CIA and FBI to meddle in our elections. And so we've seen that kind of stuff get propped up by Trump's movement. Do you think that Tulsi Gabbard is there to try and kind of legitimize some crazy conspiracy theory like this so that he then has some justification to be able to say, look, Tulsi Gabbard just told me that Hugo Chavez and the Venezuelans and the Chinese and the Italians and the Swiss all conspired with Joe Biden to rig our elections. And so now we have no choice but to allow me full oversight, full nationalized oversight of our elections so that I can make sure that this miscarriage of justice doesn't happen again. And then, obviously do whatever he's trying to do, which would ultimately benefit him and his party in the end. Do you think that there's some legitimacy to that theory?
Yes, I think that's very plausible because, as you said, the Director of National Intelligence is prohibited by law from taking part in domestic law enforcement operations, and her only portfolio with regards to elections is stopping foreign interference in elections. Now, we'll leave aside the fact that the Trump administration has completely gutted protections against foreign or domestic interference in elections. But after the raid in Fulton County, there was a very revealing Reuters story that said that Gabbard's people had been in Puerto Rico looking for evidence that Venezuela interfered in Puerto Rican elections. Suddenly they're interested in what happens in Puerto Rico, I guess. But the point is that was
that could have been a great moment for the whole country to come together yesterday at the Super Bowl. When we have finally the administration sees Puerto Rico for something that's important. But
finally we see why the administration cares about Puerto Rico.
Right.
Well, they didn't find any evidence, of course, of Venezuelan interference in the election, but that was a tell that Gabbard is preparing some kind of report for Trump about interference in the 2020 election. I think it's very plausible they're going to concoct some wild theory about Venezuela interfering in the election. You've already seen people like Mike Flynn, Mike Lindell talk about this. It's in far-right election denial circles. They could lean on Maduro himself to admit that he colluded in the 2020 election as a result of a plea deal. I mean, these things sound crazy, but once she's there, trying to access the ballots, look at the FBI raid, it raises a lot of unsettling questions about where this is all heading. And I absolutely think that Trump is going to seize on any kind of accusations to try to interfere in the midterms. And that's why the presence of Gabbard and the raid in Fulton County was so disturbing, because it's clearly a predicate for more extreme action by the administration.
And the reality is he has these people lined up. I mean, we know Maria Corina Machado, the opposition leader in Venezuela, is, wrapped around Trump's finger to the point where she even gifted him her Nobel Peace Prize. Obviously, Maduro's regime, his vice president, who's currently in power, is only there expressly because she's willing to participate in any way that Trump wants her to participate, whether that means gifting American oil companies oil or, laundering whatever bullshit, conspiracy theory gives him some justification to engage in some election interference moving forward. He's collected all of these different people around the world who need something from him, need something from the United States, and so will be perfectly willing to do what Trump already tried to do once, which is to use Zelensky, for example, to serve as a way to launder some dirt on Joe Biden. Like, this isn't even theoretical, to your point. Like, we've seen this happen. Trump got impeached over this exact thing, where he's perfectly willing to use foreign leaders to give some information that he can use to weaponize against his political opponents and benefit himself.
Yeah, I mean, I think what we know from Trump is that he's 100% transactional, and he'll use whatever kind of leverage we have. And that's true on the foreign front, and it's also true on the domestic front. And what really makes me nervous is that all the people that might have stood up to Trump in 2020 have been replaced. I mean, you can't imagine anyone in the White House today standing up to Trump and saying, don't seize the voting machines, don't invoke the Insurrection Act, all of the crazy things he wanted to do, he was somehow talked off the ledge, not by a bunch of moderates, but people like Attorney General Barr, right? Or Mark Milley, or whoever it may be. And Pam Bondi's not going to stand up to Trump. Tulsi Gabbard's not going to stand up to Trump. Pete Hegseth isn't going to stand up to Trump. They were put in there specifically because they wouldn't stand up to Trump. And that's why I think the possibility of Trump interfering in the midterms in a more dramatic way than he tried to do in 2020 is very much on the table, because there's no one to restrain him right now. And he knows that sooner or later he's going to have to leave. And so the last thing he wants is to spend his last 2 years in office being investigated over and over by a Democratic Senate or a Democratic House.
You know, Ari, we have heard Steve Bannon, for example, come out and say, damn right, ICE is going to be at the polls. And my concern with these troop deployments across the country is not just that, you know, that they are dangerous and unconstitutional, but also that Americans become normalized to this idea of, you know, boots on the ground. And we know that if Trump had boots on the ground in 2020, for example, when he wanted to seize the voting machines, and he had moderating forces like Bill Barr, which is a crazy thing to say, but, you know, Bill Barr wasn't going to participate in this whole, you know, bogus conspiracy theory about there being fraud in the election. He himself called it bullshit. But, you know, Trump has replaced Bill Barr with Pam Bondi, and now he has boots on the ground all over the country with these ICE agents who are a lawless rogue police force that's answerable to him, and they act with impunity. And so do you have any reaction here to what we've heard from Steve Bannon in terms of, you know, using these ICE agents who, again, answerable to Trump, don't feel like the law applies to them, are ill-trained, ill-equipped to deal with, you know, any domestic disputes, that those people are going to be the ones that Trump decides to deploy to the polls?
A vehicle is stolen every 37 seconds. Car break-in and theft cases are surging nationwide, and SafePeak is lurking right around you. Download Newsbreak to check the latest safety rankings and real-time crime updates in your neighborhood.
Shine, shopping online. Get it today.
Yeah, and my concern is that ICE doesn't even need to be at the polls for it to have a suppressive effect. If ICE is doing operations in blue states and blue cities, basically making them occupied territory in the run-up to the election, that's going to scare some people away from turning out. And so having them at the polls would be a dramatic escalation, and one that I think would be very questionable legally in terms of their ability to be there. But even just having them around now, but certainly in the run-up to the election, is something that's very concerning. And I believe that that's something that Democrats should add to their list of demands in terms of agreeing to any kind of DHS funding deal. They should say, make clear that ICE has no role with regards to elections, but also we can't have ICE operations in the run-up to elections. There's things on the books, for example, like in the National Voter Registration Act, you can't remove people from the rolls 90 days before the election. They should have the same kind of thing with ICE to say that we don't want any ICE activity in the run-up to the election, because we've already seen how Trump's going to deploy this. He's going to specifically deploy it in Democratic areas and in swing districts to try to suppress people from voting. And it's going to be really hard to quantify how many people don't show up because they don't want to deal with that level of harassment.
Last question here, Ari. What does success look like for this midterm cycle, and what does a lack of success look like in this midterm cycle? What are you looking at to determine whether we've had free and fair elections?
I mean, success looks like people being willing to come out and vote, a process by which they can vote, and a process by which their votes count. Now, that's how things have been throughout our history, but I mean, there's a real question about whether that's going to happen this amount of time. And I think it's very, very clear that there needs to be an extremely high level of turnout and mobilization to make those kind of things happen. That if it is a very tight election, or it comes down to one state or one district or something like that, it's going to be a lot easier for Trump to interfere than if it's an overwhelming victory. The way it wouldn't look like a free and fair election is people are afraid of turning out in the first place. There's all sorts of barriers put before them to cast a ballot. And then ultimately, once they cast a ballot, those results are challenged if Democrats win. And either the result is somehow overturned, or we see a replay of 2020 where the results hold, but an extreme amount of stress is put on the system. And honestly, I don't think the American system, given where we're at, can handle another 2020 right now.
Ari, where can folks who are watching and listening see and hear more from you?
They can read me at motherjones.com. They can buy my books, Minority Rule, and Give Us the Ballot, wherever books are sold. And they can find me on Blue Sky at Ari Berman.
Well, I would highly recommend all three of those things. I do all three of those things. I've been following Ari for the entirety of my own career in digital political media, and I could not recommend highly enough. Ari, you do amazing work. Thanks for all the work you're doing, and I appreciate you taking the time today.
Thanks so much, Brian. Always great to talk to you. Keep up the good work as well.
Whenever damage is the issue, Cupidus is the answer. To get Cupidus, just use the Heartbreaker promo code and check your inbox. Download right now and claim Cupidus for free and put him to the test.
emergency session.